Starting as the Senju Hashirama system, this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101. There are neither visions surrounding it nor all kinds of fancy divine lights. However, just such an ordinary figure, standing there, has arbitrarily determined time and space for eternity, overriding all the rules of the white light space. The back is the center of the entire white light space. It's not that his location is exactly at the center, but that wherever he is, that's where the center is. What a powerful pressure. Otsutsuki Hagoromo's face changed slightly. To be honest, he was increasingly unable to see through the identity of the unknown visitor. He knew the strength of the Otsutsuki clan. Although it was powerful, it was impossible to be as strong as this kind of cross-dimensional creature. The situation point this reminded him of the days when he confronted his mother. No. This pressure is far greater than that of Otsutsuki Kaguya, far better than this ancestor of chakra. It seems that this is not the real body, just a shadow. However, as time goes by, the pressure of this phantom is gradually increasing. If it continues like this, I'm afraid it will cause special damage to my soul. Faintly, Otsutsuki Hagoromo understood the mysterious visitor's plan. If he had a physical body, he could naturally resist the pressure of a shadow, but with just a little combination of chakra plus soul, he couldn't last long. He could only leave voluntarily. But, as the back solidified, the pressure exerted by the entire white light space became more and more terrifying. The space cracked open inch by inch and spread at an extremely fast speed. Horrible sight. The entire space shattered like glass, and a space storm formed instantly, trying to tear apart the entire white light space and everything inside. Otsutsuki Hagoromo's face darkened. He immediately stopped hesitating, held the immortal tin staff, and exploded with all his strength, forcibly tearing a passage through the endless white light. In this process, his soul power was consumed rapidly. The already illusory body became more transparent. When he completely escaped from the white light space, and escaped from the house where he lived, the soul of the Six Paths sage had been weakened to half. Looks quite downcast and miserable. This power is so weird. Under the moonlight, Otsutsuki was uncertain. Looking at the seemingly normal residence of the clan leader below, he just felt like a demon with its bloody mouth open. He didn't understand or know why the other party didn't kill him all at once. As if he was deliberately letting him go and giving a warning to the ignorant child. Maybe it's time to go to Mount Myoki again. Otsutsuki Hagoromo's eyes darkened slightly, and he was ready to go to the Great Toad Sage to predict the future direction of the ninja world. If it was not necessary, he really didn't want to go to Mount Myoki again. Although the idea of the Great Toad Immortal is consistent with his, but it is a definite fact that the other party designed it to cause his biological mother to completely break with him. Aha! In the dark night sky, the bright moon hung high. A fairy light flashed in the sky. It's not in vain that I spend 100,000 points, and the effect is still very obvious. Li Jing watched Otsutsuki Hagoromo leave, and said to himself, the back of the Emperor of Heaven is the mark of a real strong man. Every second it exists, Li Jing's little treasury will burn a lot of points. The Immortal of Six Paths guessed right. If he continues to stay in the white light space, he will indeed be crushed by the pressure of the Emperor of Heaven's back. But correspondingly, Li Jing's little treasury, it will also be completely cleared. This is what he never wants to see. Blood loss. Blood loss. This wave of losses is huge. Li Jing glanced at the small treasury in pain. He secretly thought in his heart that he must exploit more points from the descendants of the Six Paths sage such as Hinata and Uchiha to make up for his small amount. The loss of the treasury. Li Jing looked back at the room and found that Senju Hashirama was still studying the flying thunder god technique in the barrier he had set up. He was not aware of the shocking movement just now. Big pillar, you have to grow up quickly, otherwise I won't be able to stand it if this happens a few more times. Li Jing murmured while taking out his novel and continuing to browse. He waved a map. It was a world map of the ninja world. There was a red dot moving on the map, which Li Jing took the opportunity to break into. The Immortal of Six Paths who traces the mark without realizing it. Mount Myomu. When he saw the red dot entering the Myomu mountain area, Li Jing raised his eyebrows thoughtfully. With the relationship between the Six Paths Immortal and the Big Toad Immortal, it is not surprising that they would think of predicting the origin of their identity point. It is a pity that they have to let them disappointed. Li Jing showed a mysterious smile on his face. He no longer paid attention to the traces of Otsutsuki Hagoromo and focused on reading the novel in his hand. The origins of the system are not necessarily understood by even those with great supernatural powers in the world of fantasy and gods and demons. It's clear. If the Great Toad Immortal could really predict it, I'm afraid everyone would be able to ascend on the same spot. Both of them are destined to be a waste of time. Please read the ununderlined version of the novel chapter 102. The next day, early morning, Senju Hashirama left the state of cultivation. His mental perception returned to reality, and he detected the unknown chakra floating in the air. This chakra is... Senju Hashirama looked confused. His consciousness told him that the owner of chakra was an extremely powerful ninja and might even be superior to him. But the owner of chakra has long gone, and what remains here are just the traces of chakra's use. Ding, it has been detected that the host has ended its training state and started reporting the battle log. At midnight, the system successfully defeated an enemy. According to the analysis of the remaining chakra, the enemy's true identity was Otsutsuki Hagoromo, the sage of Six Paths from 1,000 years ago. Six Paths Immortal? Senju Hashirama's expression was startled, and he almost opened his giant eyes due to excessive emotional fluctuations. Although he was no stranger to the name Six Paths Sage, when he usually explained the source of the ability of system items, he would also use the name Six Paths Sage in the name of use as a shield point. But there is no doubt that his attitude towards this true master is the same as the rest of the ninja world. I feel that the Immortal of Six Paths is a character that only exists in myths and stories. There's no way he's still alive. Senju Hashirama felt a little guilty for a moment. After all, he had done so many things in someone else's name. But when he thought about being as powerful as the Immortal of Six Paths and being successfully forced back by the system, the confidence in his heart continued to surge up again. So what if you are an immortal? You are nothing in front of the system. Hasn't the Immortal of Six Paths already passed away? Senju Hashirama thought for a moment and did not directly say the word death. He still had a certain amount of respect for the ancestor he had never met. Ding. Otsutsuki Hagoromo is different from ordinary ninjas. He is too powerful. Even if his body decays due to aging, his soul will still exist in the world. The same is true for chakra. After thousands of years of era changes, Otsutsuki Hagoromo's chakra still exists, but it has been broken into countless parts. The chakra detected by the host is just a small part of what he has gathered. After listening to Li Jing's explanation, Senju Hashirama fell into a brief thought. It was not that he had never imagined how powerful the Immortal of Six Paths was, but to be so powerful was beyond his imagination. The soul remains immortal for thousands of years, and chakra lingers in the world forever, except that his body has decayed and turned into bones. He is almost the same as a real living person. Is this the power of the 6 levels? It is simply too much. Senju Hashirama took a deep breath to calm down his shock point. If the strength of a normal ninja is equivalent to a stream, then a shadow level ninja is a river, and a super shadow level ninja is a river. Although there is a gap between them, it is not so big that it is despairing. The 6th level is different. The 6th level jumped directly into the vast ocean. It was a terrifying qualitative change that no matter how many streams there were, it could not compare. It surpassed all the rivers below. Sure enough, I still have a lot to learn, and I can't be inflated just because of a small achievement. Senju Hashirama muttered to himself, and his inflated mentality of defeating the 2 clan leaders, Uchiha and Hagoromo, shrunk slightly. Put aside a few 6th levels character, his strength is naturally invincible in the ninja world. But no one knows whether the 6 Paths Sage will appear again and return with peak strength. Li Jing reminded Senju Hashirama. Ding. The host has currently mastered 7 types of chakras with different attributes. He only needs to practice the ancient sutra to perfection and improve his physical fitness. Then he can start to try the fusion of the 7 types of chakras and advance to the 6th level. The 6th level is not so easy to advance. The combination of the 7 sexual chakras will bring unimaginable burdens to the body. If you don't have a strong enough body, the most likely possibility is that the chakra will explode in the body, causing the person to die directly. Well, I know. Listening to Li Jing's reminder, Senju Hashirama nodded slightly. He spent nearly 200,000 points at a high price, not because he wanted to specialize in physical skills, but because his powerful physique belongs to the advanced level of the complete 6 paths. An indispensable condition point. While the two were talking, Otsutsuki Hagoromo had already come out of Mount Myomu and returned to the Pure Land of Huanquan Deep Underground Point. As soon as he appeared, Otsutsuki Hamura, who had been waiting for a long time, came forward. He asked solemnly, "Brother, have you found out his purpose?" Otsutsuki Hagoromo shook his head and looked into the dim sky of the underworld, as if he could glimpse the Thousand Hands clan on the surface. That existence is very powerful, more powerful than you, and I can imagine. If I don't have a body, I, who only have a soul, can't compete with it. When he thought of that terrifying and arbitrary figure, Otsutsuki Hagoromo's eyes showed deep fear. In the past, he was the only one who relied on his reincarnation eye to crush others. Once upon a time, he was now being crushed by others. So what do we do next? Otsutsuki Hamura asked with a frown. Don't worry, the other party doesn't seem to want to take action personally, but just supports Ashura's reincarnation as his agent, to complete the unknown secret for him. 6 Paths Immortal's eyes became calmer, and his purple Samsara eyes slowly turned. Since the other party is not in a hurry to take action, then we don't need to take action so early. We can choose Indra's reincarnation in this life and let him fight against the Ashura controlled by the other party. When the time is right, you and I will gather our strength and take action directly, working together to seal each other, just like we did with our mother. Under the dim light, 6 Paths Immortal's eyes became colder and colder, facing a mysterious existence whose origin even the great Toad Immortal could not know. He really did not dare to relax. Fenilu reminds you 3 things about reading chapter 103. However, wanting to support Uchiha Madara and make him grow enough to compete with Senju Hashirama is not something that can be done just by talking about it. A long-term plan is needed. Otsutsuki Hagoromo pondered. He knew that in the world on the surface, Senju Hashirama blamed him for becoming stronger in his name. It gained a lot of reputation and support out of thin air, that's it. Otsutsuki Hagoromo thought thoughtfully. He finally understood where the malice came from some time ago. Point in the Thousand Hands clan. Li Jing looked away when he saw Otsutsuki Hagoromo's red dots stop moving. There is always a solution to a problem. Point instead of worrying about what the Immortal of 6 Paths can do, it's better to focus on the matter in front of you first. Finally, we have taken the first step. Li Jing's body floated out of the clan leader's residence, observing the scene of the entire Thousand Hands clan from a high place. Point food must be eaten one bite at a time, and actions must be taken step by step. Point. If you want to make the whole forbearance, if we want to unify the world, we must first integrate the Fire Kingdom, and for the current Fire Kingdom, there are not many obstacles left. Point. Li Jing thought about it, using his fingers to outline several words in the void. Uchiha, Hyuga, Daimyo. These 3 are the last obstacles to the Fire Country. As long as they are resolved, the Senju clan will become the veritable controller of the Fire Country. Point at that time, even if the big pillar as the leader of the Senju clan does not succeed the Daimyo, he will automatically have the rights and reputation of the Daimyo. Point. Become the actual ruler of the Fire Nation. The Hyuga Tenon don't seem to be people who can't understand the situation, but now that the Hyuga clan's strength is complete, it would be a little difficult to get them to join directly. With Madara on the Uchiha side, there is nothing to worry about. The Daimyo, who is extremely difficult for other ninjas, is actually the easiest one. Li Jing pondered as his floating body gradually descended from the sky and returned to the vicinity of Senju Hashirama. Compared with these 3 forces, there was one thing in front of him that needed to be arranged immediately. Point. One-tailed Jinchuriki. Who should I choose? Senju Hashirama said to himself in the end, feeling that there are many people suitable to become a Jinchuriki. In private, he wanted his 2 brothers to become Jinchuriki, which would increase safety and also make him a Jinchuriki. The issue of ensuring the loyalty of the Jinchuriki to the greatest extent. Point. Yugong. Hashirama also feels that there are many outstanding talents in the clan, such as the Senju Haman, who are extremely talented in physical arts. If he has the blessing of the tail beast chakra module, his physical skills will be able to join the ranks of first class film level system. What do you think? Senju Hashirama's mind sank into his mind and he asked subconsciously. Asking the system for help when he encounters something he can't decide has become a subconscious habit of his. The system recommends choosing Senju Tobirama as the first Jinchuriki. After thinking about it, Li Jing still felt that the second generation was better. One thing to say, Senju Tobirama's talent in ninjutsu is really terrifying. The reason why he is not as good as his elder brother Senju Hashirama is more because of the difference in chakra amount. If Senju Tobirama can become a Jinchuriki and have sufficient chakra as a base, his achievements will probably exceed everyone's imagination. Tobirama, that's fine. Senju Hashirama nodded and agreed with Li Jing's suggestion. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he wanted to hand over the Flying Thunder God technique to Tobirama, making this discipline famous on the battlefield. The time and space ninjutsu appeared on the battlefield in the Warring States period in advance. Crunch pushed open the door of the Patriarch's residence. Senju Hashirama walked straight in the direction of Sanbi, holding the Senri telecommunication node tightly in his hand, and spoke to Senju Tobirama at the other end point. Originally, he had no intention of equipping his two younger brothers with the 1000-mile transmission talisman point. However, after experiencing the Two Toads incident last time, Senju Hashirama felt that it was still necessary to give one to facilitate daily communication and emergency help. 10 minutes later, a sandstone area specially divided for one endpoint. Senju Tobirama, who was about 8 or 9 years old, had been waiting for a long time. He raised his head and looked at Ichibi curiously to observe the legendary tail beast up close. It wasn't until Hashirama arrived that he reluctantly withdrew his gaze. "Brother, what's the matter with you calling me here?" asked the young Senju Tobirama. "Well, the main thing is to improve your strength." Senju Hashirama slightly, and pointed to Shukaku, who was quite well behaved not far away. "I'm going to make you a tail beast Jinchuriki." When he heard the word Jinchuriki, Shukaku's expression did not change. It seemed that he had known that he would do this today. Senju Tobirama was confused and could not understand the meaning of Jinchuriki at all until Senju Hashirama specifically said after some explanation. The young man showed a look of realization. "Increase the amount of chakra tail beast mode Jinchuriki." As he muttered this, the precocious Senju Tobirama thought about the pros and cons of becoming a Jinchuriki and soon made up his mind and nodded heavily. "Brother, I want to become a Jinchuriki." Senju Tobirama's voice was very firm, and Li Jing was not surprised at all. In a world like Naruto where brother controllers are everywhere, Senju Tobirama lags far behind Hashirama in terms of his own strength. You will inevitably feel anxiety and other emotions. If you become a tail beast Jinchuriki, your strength will greatly increase, and you will be closer to your big brother. The second generation will definitely not refuse. Please read the ununderlined version of the novel. Chapter 104. Seeing Senju Tobirama agree to become a Jinchuriki, Senju Hashirama didn't waste any words. He turned around and looked at Shukaku Ichibi, who was curled up in a ball and looked very well behaved. "Shukaku, I'm sorry to bother you." No trouble, Shukaku said fearfully, looking very nervous. "According to the agreement, this is what I should do. Sir, it is my blessing that you can take me in. A mere chakra is nothing," Shukaku said as he wiped the non-existent cold sweat from his head. He saw it with his own eyes yesterday. The soul of the old man of 6 paths entered the Senju clan's land while standing and was knocked out horizontally. Half of it was directly scattered. The origin of the soul. Although he didn't see who took action with his own eyes, Shukaku knew that there was a high probability that it was related to the Senju Hashirama in front of him. This made him sigh with emotion. Ashura is really getting more and more awesome with each reincarnation. Even the old man of 6 paths began to hang on. Beat well. Without further ado, let's get started now. I don't know the twists and turns in Shukaku's heart. Senju Hashirama clasped his hands together with a solemn expression. The Senjutsu chakra as blazing as the blazing sun surged, wrapping his whole body into sage mode, making Shukaku, who was already nervous, subconsciously retracted the little tail. The big pillar sage mode is becoming more and more proficient. Li Jing watched with interest Comparing the current Senju Hashirama with the original Senju Hashirama as an adult, he found that apart from age and combat experience, there were differences between the two. In addition, the strength is infinitely close to a half. Senju Hashirama in Sage mode quickly formed seals, and the Senjutsu chakra rotated along with the hand seals, wrapping the huge one-tailed Shukaku, forming layers of restraints. The Bagua seal. The surging chakra became even more violent, turning into chakra chains that blocked the void, forcibly oppressing Shukaku's chakra body, making it shrink continuously. At first, Shukaku was frightened and subconsciously fought back, but the heavy chlorid failed to cause any fluctuations. Crash, crash. The iron chains were entangled and flying, covering most of the sky. A violent sea of chains was formed that covered the sky. Receive. Senju Hashirama briefly opened his eyes, using the advanced insight ability of his eyes, to seal all the tailed beast's huge chakra into the inside of the technique. It only took tens of seconds. Just now it was a line higher than the mountains. The tailed beast was sealed in a sealing technique that was no bigger than a ball. This is enough to prove that the current Senju's strength far exceeds that of the tailed beast, and can even be said to be superior to the tailed beast. Tobirama, get ready for new power. Holding the Bagua seal that sealed Shukaku in one hand, Senju Hashirama slowly walked up to Senju Tobirama. He pressed the bull-shaped sealing technique into his younger brother's abdomen. Something strange happened. The sealed bull carrying an entire tailed beast's chakra actually merged into Senju Tobirama's body silently. It didn't cause the slightest ripple. Did you make it? Senju Hashirama raised his eyebrows. Although he had seen many successful cases of Jinchuriki in the chronicles of the ninja world, in the real world, this is after all the first Jinchuriki besides the Sage of Six Paths. If an accident was not impossible, under the gaze of Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobirama, who had fused the tailed beast chakra, his eyes instantly became dull. The whole person stood stiffly like a puppet. After a while, there was a slight movement in the limbs, and there was a surge of chakra belonging to Shukaku. But that was not how a normal Jinchuriki mode should behave. The twisted scarlet color was mixed with a variety of negative emotions. A little bit. Senju Tobirama's eyes were dyed red, which was a clear sign that he was about to go berserk. Sure enough, creating a tailed beast Jinchuriki for the first time didn't go so smoothly. Senju Hashirama frowned slightly. In Sage mode, he didn't move at all. He just stood there, and the surging Senju chakra crushed Senju Tobirama to the ground. Hey, under the suppression of Senju chakra, the scarlet-tailed beast coat gradually faded away. Senju Tobirama's violent gaze gradually became clear, and a tailed beast chakra followed the back door left by the seal on the abdomen, and separated into the real world, to form a small Shukaku. Sorry, my lord. What I just did was definitely not my intention. As soon as the small Shukaku appeared, he fell to the ground impatiently and shouted to Senju Hashirama in fear. I understand. Senju Hashirama nodded and released the Sage mode point. Although the Jinchuriki's rampage was related to the tailed beasts, this time it really had nothing to do with Shukaku. First of all, Senju Tobirama and Shukaku were not familiar with each other. It is impossible for the two to merge into a perfect Jinchuriki from the beginning. Secondly, Shukaku is strongly restrained by the Bagua seal, so he will inevitably panic and instinctively make some overreactions. System. Tobirama is considered a tailed beast Jinchuriki now, right? Senju Hashirama looked at his brother who had woken up and asked Li Jing in his heart. Ding. According to the system scan, the status of the tailed beast Jinchuriki is very stable, and according to the host's previous request, the backdoor left for the tailed beast is also running perfectly. That's good. I hope Tobirama can make a good start. Senju Hashirama's eyes flashed with an inexplicable light. Leaving a backdoor for the tailed beasts to move freely was the result of his and Li Jing's joint discussion. It will be better than what will happen at any time. A normal Jinchuriki that goes berserk is more powerful than a perfect Jinchuriki with a connected heart point. Even if an accident does happen and a tailed beast breaks out through the back door, Senju Hashirama in Sage mode can easily suppress it without any pressure. Fei Liu reminds you 3 things about reading chapter 105. Just when Senju Hashirama was about to take action and test Senju Tobirama's current strength, a Senju ninja who belonged to the scout force suddenly appeared. Patriarch, news came back from the front line. The Uchiha clan has withdrawn to their clan territory and has begun to recruit vassal ninjas belonging to the Hagoromo clan, as well as a large number of wandering ninjas. After hesitating for a moment, the Jounin continued. In addition, the daimyo has also begun to recruit ninjas. It seems that they intend to interfere in the affairs between ninjas. There is not much movement from the Hyuga clan. A famous name, Li Jing, was slightly surprised. He was not surprised when there was movement in the Uchiha clan. After all, this was already part of the agreed plan. But as a loyal supporter of the samurai faction, the daimyo actually began to choose to use ninjas to protect the capital. This is surprising. I thought deeply. After all, with the mysterious treasure left by the Sage of Six Paths, the daimyo had no fear of ninjas assassinating him. Unless his goal was not for himself at all, but to seize as many ninjas as possible to prevent the Uchiha clan and the Kai in the Hand family is developing too fast. It seems that the daimyo is not completely unconcerned about the ninja world. Senju Hashirama thought thoughtfully, guessing the daimyo's thoughts just like Li Jing. If you have to choose among the remaining 3 major ninja clans, then the ninjas of the Land of Fire, most of the clan will support the Senju of the Forest. Choose this most powerful ninja clan. But as soon as the daimyo, the orthodox ruler of the country, comes out, this situation will be broken in an instant, and many ninja clans will not be able to withstand. The materials provided by the daimyo mansion. Temptation, choose to join the daimyo. This is undoubtedly bad news for Senju Hashirama. It seems we have to speed up. Senju Hashirama narrowed his eyes slightly. Originally, according to his idea, he planned to slowly start to recruit other ninja clans and make them vassals of the Senju clan after more than half a year. But now there is, with the daimyo's intervention, this plan had to be implemented in advance. Senju Hashirama waved slightly and gave an order to the Jounin. Go and everyone notify in the scout team and ask them to go to the various ninja clans that have good relations with the Senju clan. Invite the clan leaders of all clans to come to the Thousand Hands clan for a talk. Learn. The unknown superior disappeared, just as silently as when he came. Speaking of which, this was also thanks to the 6th marine style of the Senju. As time went by, the ninjas of the Senju clan became more and more aware of the situation. The level of mastery of physical skills is getting higher and higher. There is a faint strength of the pirate world army next door. System, notify the 5 forgers and ask them to gather manpower to create as many chakra weapons as possible. Senju Hashirama said. Ding, the news has been conveyed. Li Jing spread the news casually. After doing this, Senju Hashirama took his younger brother Tobirama and headed back towards the clan leader's residence. Prepare to wait for the arrival of the clan leaders of the major ninja clans regarding chakra weapons. Hashirama himself has no use for them. Done is usually enough to solve everything. So far, he has never met an opponent who is worthy of him pulling out the lightning strike wooden sword. This made Senju Hashirama regretful. Perhaps only Kyuubi, whom he had met before, could make him truly draw his sword. But Senju Hashirama doesn't need weapons. It doesn't mean that other ninjas of the Senju clan don't need them. Even if they have extra weapons, they can be sold to other ninja clans. Earn a lot of wealth with this snap. Senju Hashirama paused for a moment and then continued to move forward. There was a smile on his lips. Just now, a great plan came to his mind. The daimyo doesn't know my current strength. In other words, in his mind, I'm positioned as a relatively powerful, but not unbeatable ninja. In order to defeat me, he will definitely arm his ninjas and samurai as much as possible. If a batch of high quality chakra swords appeared at this time, even if they were expensive, the daimyo would probably buy them. Senju Hashirama smiled, as kind as ever. Let the enemy spend a lot of money to buy weapons that can't hurt him. This deal is really a bit of a small profit. Li Jing observed Senju Hashirama's inner thoughts. He couldn't help but raise the corner of his mouth. Dazu was led astray by me. He even thought of such a trick. It's a pity that, if it weren't for the worry that the immortal of 6 paths would jump over the wall in a hurry, and if Dazu wasn't ruthless enough, he could have completely destroyed the capital of the Land of Fire. Li Jing looked at the capital of the Far Country in the south. It was the most prosperous area of the Far Country. There were countless civilians living there. If he simply killed the daimyo, Senju Hashirama would not have any psychological pressure, but the daimyo died suddenly. But it will cause chaos in the entire country and make all civilians fearful. This will lead to a lot of bloodshed. Senju Hashirama doesn't want to deal with this before he is fully prepared. Please read the underlined version of the novel. Chapter 106. Senju Clan Scout Troop. After receiving the order from Senju Hashirama, this group of special personnel, whose strength was at the lowest Chunin level, immediately took action. They divided into groups of 2 and headed towards different ninja clans in this era before the establishment of a ninja village. The orders of the ninja clan leader are equivalent to the shadow of future generations. No one will question it, and no one will slack off. Obedience is the only rule. Soon, the first group of scouts arrived at their destination. This was just a fairly small ninja clan. There are only about 20 people in the clan, and half of them are young and old. As the strongest clan leader, he is just an ordinary chunin, inferior to even the Senju clan scouts. The leader of the Thousand Hands clan has issued an order to invite the heads of each clan to the Thousand Hands clan to discuss important decisions. Leaving these words with a slightly arrogant attitude, the 2 ninjas of the Senju clan disappeared and rushed towards the next ninja clan that needed to be notified. Only the leader of this small ninja clan was left standing there, confused. Measures this. After thinking for a long time, he let out a very long sigh and finally decided to go to the Thousand Hands clan. He believed that with the strength and heritage of the Thousand Hands clan, they would look down upon his small clan. The people who should worry about the conspiracy should be the larger ninja clan. The Chunin clan leader became more and more relaxed as he thought about it. After giving a few instructions to the other remaining ninjas in the clan, he flew towards the Senju clan. If the Chunin clan leader could fly, he would be able to see it from high in the sky. With the Senju clan as a center, scattered people came from all directions, all of whom were the clan leaders of small and medium-sized ninja clans. After the Hyuga tribe was silent for a long time, a figure finally walked out. As soon as he appeared, the other ninja clan leaders subconsciously pushed him back, just because he had the strength and qualifications. Hyuga Tenin, the strongest of the Hyuga clan. Half a day later, dozens of people arrived at the Thousand Hands clan's territory. Representing dozens of different ninja clans. Why are there so many other ninjas today? A guard said to himself with a frown. Why do you care so much? This is the clan leader's order. Do you still want to stop them? Another guard said. Don't blame me for not reminding you. In addition to the clan leader, there are also members of the Hyuga clan. That one. As if to verify the credibility of this sentence, as soon as he finished speaking, an old man walked slowly between the 2 of them. His aura was condensed to the extreme. He obviously saw him passing in front of him, but his chakra perception did not. A little warning was issued. When they saw the Hyuga clan emblem behind each other gradually disappearing, the 2 guards' nervousness gradually relaxed. Only then did they realize that a thin layer of cold sweat was forming on their backs. How scary. Is this the legendary Hyuga clan leader, Hyuga Tenin? The guard breathed heavily, but what immediately emerged in his heart was more respect for Senju Hashirama. The strength of Hagoromo and Uchiha Tajima is comparable to that of Hyuga Tenin. Even Hyuga Tenin is so terrifying. Well, one can imagine what level Senju Hashirama's strength has reached. In the clan leader's residence, Senju Hashirama sat cross-legged on his clan leader's seat, waiting for the arrival of the clan leaders of each clan. The place where the clan elders used to sit was used as a seat for the clan leaders to facilitate close discussions. The Hyuga Tenin is indeed here. Floating in the air with an invisible posture, Li Jing felt the majestic chakra in the distance and muttered to himself. Just as he had guessed, the Hyuga Tenin was not a person who could not see the situation clearly. This wily guy certainly knows that Senju Hashirama must have a very special purpose in summoning the clan leaders of the major ninja clans this time. But he has to come, because this means that the Hyuga clan has ignored its alliance with the Senju clan, want to dissolve the covenant. As for the consequences of not having a covenant, haha, the Hagoromo clan is the most vivid example. I hope the Hyuga Tenin can understand, otherwise he will have to let the big pillar give him a ride. Li Jing quietly made a decision in his heart. If the Hyuga clan refuses to surrender, then he will never show mercy. What's more, the Senju clan and the Hyuga clan were originally only a temporary alliance to resist the enemy. Now that the Hagoromo clan and the Uchiha clan have been defeated, this alliance is instantly dispensable. System, has the hidden ninja been detected? Senju Hashirama suddenly asked. Ding, there are only the chiefs of the major ninja clans in the house, and there are no other incompetent people, and there are no strong people peeking in the sky or the ground of the Senju clan. Li Jing quickly replied. He knew what Dazu was worried about. He was afraid that the Six Paths Immortal with his whereabouts would appear and tell everyone that he was not the true descendant, causing his reputation to plummet. But now Otsutsuki Hagoromo obviously has no time to pay attention to this matter. Li Jing frowned and looked at the small map and found that the red dot representing Otsutsuki Hagoromo had been staying in the Pure Land of Huanquan for some time. Has the other party given up? Li Jing felt that things were not that simple, so he decided to take more precautions to prevent the boat from capsizing in the gutter. After a while, all the clan leaders came. Without discussion, they sat in different positions according to their strength. Cough cough, cough cough cough. Hyuga Tenin, who had a kind face and looked like an ordinary old man, staggered and slowly sat down at the seat closest to Senju Hashirama. No one disputes this. Filu reminds you 3 things about reading chapter 107. Senju Hashirama's eyes swept over present point. Hinata, Hatake, Yamanaka, Nera, Akimichi, Sarutobi. Every ninja clan leader was sitting in his seat, waiting quietly for his words. I don't know when, the little boy who followed Thousand-Armed Buddha. He has grown to the point where he can sit shoulder to shoulder with all the clan leaders, or even be a step above him. Senju Hashirama sighed in his heart and directly stated his purpose without any nonsense. Inviting the clan leaders to come this time may be a bit too sudden, but I believe that the content discussed today will not disappoint the clan leaders. In the doubtful eyes of everyone, Senju Hashirama looked calm and pointed to the land under his seat. I don't know, everyone, what do you think of the current situation in the country of fire? Everyone looked at each other in confusion. You looked at me, and I looked at you. They were all confused about the question raised by Senju Hashirama. After a long silence, someone boldly replied, the Kingdom of Fire has been in war for a long time, but now there is, sir. If you succeed as the leader of the Senju clan, you will definitely end the war. Yes, yes, His Highness the Daimyo will definitely value the Senju clan and give them generous rewards. The others nodded in agreement. The 4 major ninja clans have always been the overlords of the far country, and their strength is extremely average. But now Senju Hashirama appears from the sky, punching Uchiha Tajima to pieces and kicking Hagoromo. Even a 3-year-old child can see that the rise of the Senju clan is unstoppable. Listening to the compliments of the people present, Senju Hashirama's expression did not fluctuate much, and he frowned imperceptibly. The concepts of class and lineage in the Naruto world are too deeply rooted in people's hearts. Even if their own strength far exceeds that of ordinary daimyo, many ninjas still think that it is natural for ninjas to be loyal to their daimyo. Senju Hashirama narrowed his eyes slightly and rubbed his fingers gently, preparing to try to stir up conflicts between ninjas and daimyo in the future. Otherwise, it would be really difficult for him to make these ninjas obey. After deep thought, Senju Hashirama spoke again. I hope that just as everyone said, I can lead the Thousand Hands clan to become the strongest in the far country and end the war in the far country. But have you ever thought about how we ninjas will live after the war is over? As soon as this question came out, the whole place fell silent for an instant. Even the Hyuga Tenin opened his cloudy eyes and looked at Senju Hashirama uncertainly. In the land of fire, no, it should be said that the war has never stopped all over the world. Ninjas live in the cracks of war, assassinating enemies for their employers in order to obtain high war dividends, and their income is countless times higher than that of civilians. It can be said that ninjas are born to live for war. If there is no war, the meaning of ninjas will instantly disappear. Half will be lost. Some people were thinking hard, with beads of cold sweat falling from their foreheads. The war in the land of fire has been too long, so long that no one thinks it will end easily. Therefore, no ninja has ever thought about the future. They all felt that, like their ancestors, they would fight in wars for the rest of their lives. Unexpectedly, the thousand-armed Hashirama appeared out of nowhere. possessing the power to suppress the invincible hand, just in time to end the war in the Land of Fire. In this generation point at the thought of not having any income from war missions, many clan leaders subconsciously shrank their pupils, feeling that something was wrong. What do you think the leader of the Thousand Hands clan has to say? Among the crowd, the leader of a small ninja clan suddenly asked, with a panic look on his face. The words attracted everyone's eyes, and they all looked at the Senju Hashirama in the center of the patriarch's residence. Some people felt that the little ninja, the clan leader, was quite unfamiliar, but because Senju Hashirama spoke again, he didn't pay attention to it. Takumi cannot be talked about, but there is a way. Senju Hashirama said leisurely, and in the eyes of everyone's doubts, he pointed around the house with his finger. Although the Fire Nation no longer needs war, wars in other countries are still continuing. We, the Senju clan, are willing to use a reputation to guarantee and establish a new alliance, allowing every ninja clan in the Fire country to join it and jointly obtain mission resources from other countries. Little Fox. Everyone cursed secretly in their hearts at the same time. Until now, they still don't understand Senju Hashirama's plan. I'm afraid it's false to worry about other ninjas, but it's true that he wants to become the leader of the Fire Country ninja world. But after secretly cursing, the leader of the ninja clan began to think seriously. He had to admit that, although Senju Hashirama did not really care about the other ninja clan, what he said was indeed reasonable. There would be no war in the Land of Fire. If the income of ninjas wants to continue to be the same as before, they can only do what Senju Hashirama said and seek opportunities in other countries. If the ninjas of the Fire Country all gather into a group, there is no doubt that such a huge the power can grab most of the tasks and rewards. Even if the sky falls, there will still be a tall man like the Senju clan holding it up. Thinking of this, many ninja clan leaders are slightly moved. It seems that this statement successfully shocked them. Looking at the many ninja clan leaders who were deep in thought below, Senju Hashirama knew that his plan had been half successful. It didn't matter what the reason was, and it didn't matter whether he would do it in the end. As long as he can control the ninja clan now, they all joined him to prevent them from being recruited by Daimyo. Senju Hashirama felt that it was a success. It's time to finish. Senju Hashirama looked at somewhere in the crowd and slightly. Then, the unknown leader of the little ninja clan spoke again. Starve the bold to death. Starve the timid to death. I, the Hyakutori clan, are willing to join. Please, read the ununderlined version of the novel chapter 108. With the first person taking the lead to join, the remaining small ninja clan no longer hesitated and directly agreed to join this new organization. The small ninja clan is no better than the medium and large ninja clan, and the clan basically has no savings. For them, if they cannot continue to obtain tasks, the demise of the family is almost inevitable. It would be better to join the Senju clan and become a vassal of the strongest ninja clan in the Land of Fire, so that the family can obtain more and better survival resources. The clan leaders belonging to the medium-sized ninja clan looked embarrassed, wondering whether to join. They looked at the Hyuga tenon together, waiting for the old man to make a decision. If even the Hyuga clan of the large ninja clan joined, they would naturally have nothing to say. In the position closest to Senju Hashirama, Hinata Tenon's eyes sunk slightly. Under his cloudy eyes, he didn't know what he was thinking. He took a deep look at Senju Hashirama and compared it with his posture more than half a year ago, as if he wanted to see through the truth of everything with his white eyes. The leader of the Senju clan intends to invite him, and as an ally, the Hyuga clan should give them their full support. It's just that this new alliance involves dozens of ninja clans at the same time, which is unprecedented. I really don't dare to make hasty decisions. I wonder if the leader of the Senju clan can shed some light on this. Apart from taking on missions from other countries, what can dozens of us ninja clans get out of it? The Hyuga tenon said with a smile, and his words were perfect without leaving any flaws. Old Fox. Behind him, more than a dozen of the heads of the medium-sized ninja clan cursed secretly at the same time. It was obviously the Hyuga clan who wanted to know how much benefit they could get. We need to recruit other ninja clans and oppress them in the name of dozens of ninja clans. It doesn't matter if Senju Hashirama doesn't care, but if he keeps it in mind, how can these small and medium-sized ninja clans withstand the pressure of the Senju clan? Get something? Senju Hashirama looked at Hinata Tenon with meaningful eyes. As he expected, this old man was the most thorough among the people. Now that we have signed a contract, there will naturally be many benefits. Senju Hashirama went through the ideas in his mind one by one. I plan to first build a trading market that allows ninjas of all races to trade on their own and exchange items for what they need. This is really good. The Hyuga Tenin slightly. Everyone has more or less rare treasures that are not needed. If they are exchanged with other ninja clans, they can be converted into effective resources. But, Japan protracted, seeming to have discovered other interesting things. How should the distribution of stalls in this trading market and the candidates to manage the market be divided? Hearing this, everyone subconsciously pricked up their ears, because it involves their vital interests, taking into account the high liquidity of the market and the large number of people coming and going. There are requirements for the strength of the candidates, so I decided to let the ninjas of the two ninja clans, the Hyuga clan and the Senju clan, work harder and be responsible for maintaining the order of the trading market. Senju Hashirama showed the familiar shy smile of Hyuga Tenin. In order to compensate the ninjas of the two groups, the Hyuga clan and the Senju clan will unconditionally receive 10% of the stall share to compensate for the hard work of the two groups. The remaining market share will be sorted according to the strength of each group and distributed twice. I see. The Hyuga Tenin suddenly understood and nodded with deep understanding. It doesn't matter whether there is a stall or not. The main thing is to maintain the order of the trading market. We, the Hyuga clan, have a duty, Gan, to foxes. Seeing Senju Hashirama and Hyuga Tenin singing the double act, the remaining small and medium-sized ninja clan leaders cursed in their hearts. But no one really showed dissatisfaction. Honestly, if you really listen to the arrangement, then at least there will be a booth. If you offend the two great ninja clans, you may have to drink the Northwest Wind Point after that. Senju Hashirama talked about a few more rules. Basically, they share information and tasks, as well as basic rules such as not killing each other. It's not that there are no more detailed and complete contents, but Senju Hashirama doesn't want to reveal them now. After all, the ninja organization is just a springboard. After the damning palace is overthrown, a new regime can be established, and laws and regulations unique to the ninja world can be formulated. Senju Hashirama's eyes flickered, full of expectations for the future. Now, he is one step closer to the dream of peace agreed with Madara. Hashirama, please give the new covenant a name. The Hyuga Tenin turned his head and looked at the Senju Hashirama at the top. Name. Senju Hashirama was stunned for a moment, and the word Konoha almost blurted out. But after thinking about it, he felt that it might be better to use another name. Why don't we just call him Hokage? Naruto Covenant Naruto? The word for fire from the land of fire, plus the word for shadow, which symbolizes the coming and going of ninjas without a trace. Naruto is a pretty good name. The Hyuga Tenin nodded slightly, quite satisfied with the name. At this point, the Hokage organization was officially established in the Warring States period, and more than 40 ninja clans joined it, forming an absolute force that no force can ignore. TSK, the big pillar is still the same, only given such simple and crude names. But the name of the Hokage organization doesn't sound bad. When he thought that in the future, every ninja in the Hokage organization would always start with I am Hokage you. 3 things about reading. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109. As soon as the Hokage organization was established, the news spread quickly. With the help of the Senju clan, intentionally or unintentionally, even the surrounding countries knew about the birth of the Hokage organization. Whether they are wealthy businessmen or powerful people, or large and small ninja clans, they all know that there is such a powerful and super large organization with more than 40 ninja clans mixed together. The capital of the Fire Country Damning Mansion, the daimyo of the Fire Country sat in his seat in a more comfortable posture, listening to the information that his subordinates had just obtained. The Senju clan is really getting stronger. 20 years ago, I had an exchange with the previous Senju clan leader. I didn't expect that his eldest son would be such a genius. The daimyo raised his eyes slightly and said, Your Highness. As soon as the Hokage Covenant was established, more than half of the ninja clan joined it. If this continues, it may be detrimental to us. Below, a staff member said. The daimyo nodded and shook his head. He agreed with what the disciple said. The high concentration of ninjas would indeed pose a threat to the daiming mansion. But he felt that there was no need to be too nervous. In addition to the 6 treasures in his hand, there is also the Uchiha clan that can contain the Senju of the forest. Just send someone to pay attention to the Hokage organization. You don't need to be too concerned, but you can't be too dismissive. The daimyo thought for a while and said, aren't you recruiting wandering ninjas recently? Try to recruit as many as possible. Your Highness. No need to. A man dressed as a military commander came out and saluted respectfully to the daimyo on the high platform. The mere ninjas are just a group of wild dogs and cats who only know how to sneak attack. How can they compare to the samurai who fight head on and fight bloody battles? As long as you say a word, Your Highness, I, Miyamoto Ieyasu, can immediately lead the samurai troops and annihilate all the ninja clans, including the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan, in one fell swoop. Speaking of this, the general looked arrogant, as if he had firmly grasped the victory. The surrounding disciples and retainers also showed approval, praising his bravery. Stupid, ignorant, the great name of the Fire Country looked down upon all the ministers in the audience. There was an imperceptible disappointment in his eyes. What age has it been, and he is still immersed in the old era fantasy of the invincibility of samurai? Don't these idiots know that, if they didn't have the treasure to restrain ninjas, they would have killed the damning mansion? That's so ridiculous. It's impossible to count on these idiots. The pace of recruiting ninja must be accelerated, but we can't let these idiots know, otherwise they will fight to the death again. The skinny fingers clenched into fists, and the daimyo of the Fire Country thought quickly. He was still not worried about the threat posed by the Hokage organization. He didn't believe that the ninjas would resist him. The reason why he wanted to recruit ninjas was more because he had ideas about other countries and wanted to use the power of ninjas to open up territories for himself. Maybe I should show kindness to the Thousand Hands clan, the daimyo thought deeply. It would be great if he could use material rewards in exchange for the help of a powerful ninja. The daimyo is very familiar with this trick. In the past hundreds of years, his ancestors have used it for generations. Recruit generals and ninjas this way, thousands of meters away from the Senju clan's land. Looking at the familiar small lake in front of him, Senju Hashirama was very satisfied. It would be just right to set up a trading market by the lake, and the distance is also under the control of the Senju clan. This lake, which was created by thousands of hands, provides water for the surrounding flora and fauna, gradually restoring life to the wasteland. With the grass growing and the orioles flying, it doesn't look too ugly. Senju Hashirama took out a kunai from the system space and buried it deep in the ground beneath his feet as the positioning coordinates for the Flying Thunder God technique, so that he could come directly next time. With the ability to observe time and space with the giant Muai, Hashirama successfully learned the most basic use of the Flying Thunder God. But he only delved into this and did not continue his research. He knew very well that his talent for time and space ninjutsu was not high, and he could only learn it with the help of Giant Muan. Instead of wasting time on this, it is better to practice the ancient sutra more and start training on the fusion of 7 chakras as soon as possible. The figure was completely swallowed up by the space. The next moment, the scene in front of Senju Hashirama turned into his own room. As expected of Yellow Flash's signature move, this ninjutsu created by Tobirama is truly magical. Although he has performed the Flying Thunder God teleportation more than once, Senju Hashirama still sighs slightly after each use. Compared with a traditional rush, the Flying Thunder God technique is too buggy. Before Senju Hashirama can rest, after a moment, the 1000 miles transmission node placed on the waist suddenly began to sway. It also emitted little bits of fluorescence. Spot. Senju Hashirama's expression was confused. He knew what the movement of the Senri telephone note meant. Please read the ununderlined version of the novel. Chapter 110. What's wrong, Madara? Senju Hashirama asked Uchiha Madara, who was far away on the other side of the Fire Country, holding the 1000-mile telephone note. Hashirama, you won't believe what kind of ridiculous thing happened to me just now. Uchiha Madara's voice came from the other end. mixed with loud ridicule. Today, someone pretended to be the Sage of Six Paths and told me that I was the reincarnation of the ancestor Indra. Do you think it's funny or not? Six Paths Sage came to Uchiha Madara. I know. What kind of approach is old man Liu Dao using to defeat his son with his son? Li Jing raised his eyebrows and felt that the direction of the matter suddenly became interesting. It seems that, after experiencing the last lesson, the Six Paths Immortal has learned his lesson and does not intend to do it himself. Instead, he wants to take advantage of the unknown Uchiha Madara, who constantly launches temptations. Oh, what else did the liar say? Senju Hashirama listened calmly and also thought that this was the method of the Six Paths Sage. That guy also said that the Uchiha clan is the real overlord of the fire country and they must support me, help me increase my strength, activate the main Gekkai Sharingan, and finally defeat your Senju clan. Uchiha Madara's voice became more and more sarcastic. That liar is so funny. It's not so easy to open your eyes with a kaleidoscope. Obviously, Uchiha Madara doesn't believe the words of the Six Paths Sage at all. He even thinks that Otsutsuki Hagoromo is a complete liar, but Senju Hashirama is different. He knows better than anyone else that he has never obtained the Six Paths Sage inheritance, but got bound by the system. For this immortal who has guarded the ninja world all his life, he who is bound to the system may be the target that must be cleaned up. The hostility is deep. System, what do you think? Senju Hashirama pondered for a while and asked silently in the back of his mind. Ding. The system recommends that the system remain unchanged in response to all changes, so Madara Uchiha contacts the Sage of Six Paths first and observes the Sage of Six Paths' next actions according to the system's inference. The Sage of Six Paths will vigorously cultivate Uchiha Madara and make him grow rapidly to compete with the host, but the host does not need to worry. The power of the Sage of Six Paths is far lower than that of the system, so the host can rest assured. Well, I understand. Senju Hashirama nodded. After the last incident, he really believed that Li Jing could defeat the Six Paths Sage. What's more, from the beginning, there were no hidden dangers for Uchiha himself. The Immortal of Six Paths never imagined that his two sons would collude and prepare to join forces to deceive their father. But, how do I get Madara to accept Liu support? Senju Hashirama asked next. The host can tell Madara Uchiha that the person he saw was not the real Sage of Six Paths, but an Otsutsuki clan member of the same clan. He had the same characteristics as the Sage of Six Paths and had a grudge against the host, who was the successor of Six Paths. Li Jing raised the corners of his mouth slightly and taught Dazu a set of classic novel plot templates. Let him relay it to Uchiha Madara so that he will be convinced and accept the full experience package of Otsutsuki Hagoromo. If nothing unexpected happens, with the help of his grandfather, Uchiha Madara will open the main Gekkai Sharingan at an extremely terrifying speed. Plus his father Uchiha Tajima's kaleidoscope, you can directly obtain the eternal kaleidoscope point, get the same power as at your peak. Could it be that the battle of the Valley of the End is about to happen now? Li Jing suddenly thought. Senju Hashirama now has the Sage mode. When Uchiha Madara turns on the eternal kaleidoscope, the strength of the two will reach the peak of the battle in the Valley of the End point. If the Six Paths Sage finds a way, give Uchiha Madara has acquired the Nine Tails, then the battle of the Valley of the End will really begin and advance on the other side. Senju Hashirama has successfully deceived Uchiha Madara and interrupted the communication of Senri telephone. You have to establish a trading market quickly and get enough points. Senju Hashirama said to himself, when the trading market of the Hokage organization becomes mature, he can use the chakra sword built by the enchanted caster to exchange items of equal value with other ninjas. Exchange these items for points. You can redeem new enchantment casters in the system mall or other items that are very precious to the world of Naruto. In this way, you can achieve the purpose of making money and points. It's too slow, Senju Hashirama muttered to himself. Whether it was the construction of the trading market, waiting for the grain harvest, or starting a new round of war, it was all too slow. He didn't want to waste the time in between. Rather than dealing with political affairs and meditating, he wanted to fight against evenly matched opponents and gain great training in life and death. System, is there any way to make me stronger? In other words, do you know who else is stronger in the ninja world? Senju Hashirama asked as his mind sank into the system point, whether it's a big sword made from the torso of Liu Shin or a real 1000 hands at full strength. Senju Hashirama has too many moves that he wants to fight with all his strength, but what can he do? The strongest ninja in the current world is only a cage level ninja, and there is no one who can compete with it. TSK, Dazu's hands are itching. Li Jing's eyes moved, as if he thought of something. He remembered the white light space in the back of the invincible that he created earlier. Ding. According to the needs of the host, the system hereby launches a new function. Training space. Senju Hashirama said doubtfully. Ding. The training space is a virtual space opened up by the system, which can simulate the battle between a real strong person and the host, so that the host can obtain an all-round, multi-level, and high-depth one-on-one fighting experience, Li Jing said with an incomprehensible face. With that, the honest Hashirama was stunned for a moment. Filu reminds you 3 things about reading chapter 111. There is no need to consume points to open the training space, but it does cost a certain amount of points to simulate a strong person. The stronger the strength, the more points collected. Listening to Li Jing's words, Senju Hashirama nodded in agreement. This training space sounds so high-end, it is natural to charge a fee. Based on Senju Hashirama's experience of drawing lots and opening cans many times, if the system does not charge fees, then he will doubt his life. System, if I want to simulate Kyuubi, how many points will I need? After thinking for a while, Senju Hashirama decided to use the Ninetales as a reference. He asked Li Jing in his mind point originally. He wanted to blurt out that he wanted to become a sage of 6 paths, but after thinking about it carefully, he gave up on this thoughts. Let's not talk about whether he has enough points to generate, but just in terms of strength, he is still struggling to face opponents at the 6 levels. Kyuubi, Li Jing rubbed his chin and thought. He didn't care what kind of opponent he simulated. Anyway, he wasn't the one who got beaten. He just collected the points. The purpose of the training space is to enhance the strength of Dazu. The fee should not be too high, just a symbolic 10%. Li Jing thought for a while and gave a more reasonable price. For example, the last time the invincible back figure cost 100,000 points, then if Senju Hashirama wants to redeem it, he only needs 110,000 points. It can be said to be rare. The conscience welfare and the exchange price of the Ninetales will only be lower. Li Jing waved his hand, ranked the strength of the Ninetales from 1 tail to 9 tails, formulate different price lists, and entered the Senju Hashiramas in my mind. The lowest 1 tail state only requires 1100 points, and the highest 9 tails complete form is only close to 20,000 points. Do you only need so few points? Senju Hashirama muttered to himself. As Li Jing had guessed, Senju Hashirama felt that the price of the training space was quite cheap. But thinking about it carefully, he felt that he could understand it. After all, what is simulated is just a false strong person, not the real body. Using the analogy of the servants in the system mall, Senju Hashirama can probably guess that it would cost an astronomical amount to exchange 4 Ninetales or a servant of the same level. The system deducted 1000 points and simulated the Kyuubi in a 1-tailed state. After looking at his point balance, Senju Hashirama said, why don't we first fully realize the 9-tailed intention? Li Jing's face was full of questions. How dare he waste so much time and only earn 100 points? Although he was complaining in his heart, Li Jing also knew that there were really not many points left in Dazu's hands. He could only save some money. Wait. After a while, when the trading market opens, there will be a steady stream of points coming in. Ding. The training space has been opened, and enemies are starting to be generated. A sudden white light suddenly appeared, forcefully dragging Senju Hashirama's consciousness into a mysterious space, filled with white light. The weird feeling of nothingness instantly made Senju Hashirama understand that this was definitely not the real world. To be more precise, it is not a real space. Is it similar to illusion? Senju Hashirama looked at his palms thoughtfully. Li Jing directly confirmed Senju Hashirama's idea. Ding. To be more precise, the training space is a magical function that directly affects the host's soul. Here, the host can freely use all attack methods, and the pain suffered is no different from reality. The advantage is that the host will not really die, but the disadvantage is that if the injury is too serious, it will cause certain damage to the soul. Senju Hashirama nodded and then looked forward with curious eyes. I saw a ferocious looking Ninetales waiting in front. But compared with the real body that Senju Hashirama had seen, the virtual Ninetales in front of him was not only extremely weak, but also much smaller in appearance. Is this the Kyuubi in the one-tailed state? It feels like the amount of chakra is much worse than the Kyuubi in its complete form. Without any fancy movements, Senju Hashirama clasped his hands together, and surging would release chakra spurted out, triggering two huge wooden walls that covered the sky and the sun. They attacked from the left and right sides together, blasting towards the virtual Kyuubi, crush it to pieces bang. Senju Hashirama's eyes lit up. Sure enough, as the system said, the abilities in this world can be used perfectly, and even the feeling of attacking the enemy is no different. Just don't know. Senju Hashirama's eyes were slightly closed, and when he opened them again, they had turned into strange eyes filled with samurai lines, dark magatama, and bright pupils. Even the giant Muai can be used. It seems that any ability can be used. Senju Hashirama is very excited. There is no way his current strength is too invincible in the ninja world, and he can't find an opponent to fight. Now Li Jing has launched a training space, which instantly makes this young man's mind active. Stand up. I don't know how many points it would take to simulate that powerful taijutsu master. Senju Hashirama pondered for a moment. But he also knew that with his current number of points, it would be impossible to redeem that strong man in his prime state. Without any hesitation, Senju Hashirama decisively withdrew from the training space. He also recruited his clan leader's bodyguards. Clan leader, an elite jounin of the Senju clan, quietly appeared in front of Senju Hashirama. They are the best Senju ninjas, loyal only to the clan leader, and even the clan elders cannot control them. Go to the clan warehouse to pick up a box of rare treasures, and tell the clan elder who guards the warehouse that this is my order. Senju Hashirama said, using would release chakra to activate a seed, and throw it to his bodyguard as a token. Yes, Patriarch, please. Read the ununderlined version of the novel chapter 112. Soon, the guards returned to the Patriarch's residence with a box of heavy treasures. Looking at the jeweled wooden box in front of him, Senju Hashirama only hesitated for a moment before redeeming all the points. Originally, he kept this wealth because he wanted to leave some foundation for the Thousand Hands clan point to prevent large transactions or emergencies. But now that there is a training space, it is not impossible to use it for training. Ding. The exchange is successful. Congratulations to the host for getting 37,850 points. Hearing the prompt in his mind, Senju Hashirama waved to the guards to leave, and then entered the training space again. System. If you want to generate the shadow of the powerful man who defeated Ninetales, how many points are needed in total? Senju Hashirama asked impatiently, with an eager expression on his face. Ding. The points for simulating Edward Newgate in his heyday are exactly 30,000. Li Jing answered, tutting in surprise. He thought about Senju Hashirama's choice of 6 paths Madara, and also thought about the future combination of 6 paths Naruto. Whitebird just never thought of choosing another power system. Isn't it just Whitebird? Arrange. Labor and management are going to start a wave of Naruto versus pirates today. Snapped. Li Jing snapped his fingers, and the entire training space began to shake violently, and the virtual Ninetales that was originally killed slowly disappeared. What replaced it was a burly figure that was several times taller than Senju Hashirama. A giant point. Unlike the ninjas, who tend to be thin, they can run and chase enemies more nimbly. Whitebird's muscles are extremely strong, and with the naked eye, you can see the surging strength hidden under the muscles. The most powerful one. The obvious representative evidence is a huge letter tightly held in his right hand. Edward Newgate. What a strange name. Senju Hashirama's expression was solemn, and he immediately entered the sage mode, causing the sensual chakra to completely cover the body surface. Danger. Very dangerous. The intuition cultivated on the battlefield for many years informed Senju Hashirama of this situation. how terrifying the man is, it is very likely that he is half step to the 6th level like him, or even a strong man standing at the 6th level. It seems that he has sensed Senju Hashirama's vigilance point. The man with the white beard, shaped like a crescent moon. The tall pirate suddenly let out a roar of laughter. The terrifying pressure then spread, sweeping in all directions, and blowing away everything along the way. Overlord color domineering. A smile appeared on Li Jing's face. This is a famous signature skill in the pirate world. But for big pillars, even Whitebeard's overbearing color is unlikely to have any effect. But the invisible pupil power swept across the void, and at first it was like ripples on the surface of a calm lake. But when exposed to the domineering power of the Overlord, the two completely opposite forces went berserk together like two armies at war. Aha, 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 sure, aha. As if they sounded simultaneously within a second, invisible spatial fluctuations covered and infected the entire sky, falling apart and shattering. Like an arrow coming off a string, the training space was torn apart into countless strange and long-lasting hollow trajectories. Faced with such a terrifying movement, the two people at the center of the explosion did not feel any timidity at all, but only the will to fight. It is worthy of being called a strong man from another world summoned by level 2. Powerful strike. It is so powerful just by its aura. I wonder what kind of strong man the 3rd level scroll can summon. Senju Hashirama thought silently in his heart, and his whole body was shrouded in fairy chakra. I don't know when his eyes had opened, and the power of his eyes, which was more arrogant than the eternal kaleidoscope, poured out like a flood, and all the domineering energy was poured out. Keep out of body. It's obviously just a false enemy that simulates the real body, but it can give me such exaggerated pressure. Should I say it is truly a system? It can be simulated so vividly. Senju Hashirama looked at the opposite side with calm eyes, looking at the tall white-bearded man with no timidity in his heart. Originally, he thought that his strength had been improved to an incomparable level, and he was only one step away from the 6th level. A kick. Maybe the opponent is no longer as good as him. I was still thinking about whether to restrain my strength. Now it seems that not only is it not necessary, but it is necessary to try your best. Swish. The magic chakra completely rioted, pulling and shaking the surrounding air, causing strong vibrations in the entire training space. Would release wood dragon technique. Doi Shine Lung's true power. Drink. Senju Hashirama angrily yelled. Using his true strength in the first confrontation point, the earth collapsed, and the trees were stirred. Ancient trees rose up from the ground, and then quickly fell apart, and then twisted around, to form a wooden dragon reaching the sky. The wooden dragon opened its teeth, and danced its claws, hovering in the sky. Its eyes were like the bright sun, looking down at the world with an absolutely invincible attitude. Looking down at the white beard as small as an ant below, the mighty heavenly dragon, the great Luo magic spell. Senju Hashirama's eyes were always locked on Whitebeard, and the magic chakra was fully operating the mighty Chien Long true skill, pushing the pressure of the wooden dragon to the extreme point. It was like the reincarnation of the real dragon in the myth roar. Amidst the deafening roar of the dragon, not only did the virtual Whitebeard not retreat, but he laughed and waved his naginator. He added the power of the fruit-shaking power to the sword and struck out a blow that tore apart the space point. Although a virtual body constructed 4 points, but he is still Whitebeard, the strongest man in the pirate world. Whitebeard disdains to avoid. Filu reminds you 3 things about reading chapter 113. Roar. The slender naginator was waved. The blade was sharp and cold, as if it was carrying the weight of the entire world. Collide heavily with the wooden dragon point. Aha. The 2 attacks, one large and one small, collided fiercely, and a scream like the clash of steel came out. It was a horrifying scene. Whitebeard used his brute force to withstand the impact of the wooden dragon point. Although his body was moving backwards uncontrollably, he did withstand the frontal impact of the wooden dragon. Haha, what an interesting kid. He is so small, but he has such terrifying power. Tell me your name, kid. As an enemy, you are qualified to let me know your name. The man with a white crescent beard laughed loudly, while resisting the impact of the wooden dragon point. Senju Hashirama frowned. Could it be that the simulated opponent was intelligent? Ding. In order to ensure the combat effectiveness of the virtual opponent, the system will instill the memory of the strong body to enhance the host's combat intensity. As long as the host leaves a training space or kills the opponent, the system will automatically clear it. Li Jing explained in a timely manner. If you only have strength but no wisdom, then even the most powerful opponent is just a moving target. It has no sharpening effect at all. Otsutsuki Kaguya is a good example. As the ancestor of chakra, she was beaten by Naruto, who had incomplete six paths mode. The reason was due to lack of combat experience. That's it. Senju Hashirama nodded slightly. He turned his gaze back to the white beard not far away, his eyes full of solemnity, as if he regarded the other party as a real enemy. My name is Senju Hashirama, the contemporary clan leader of the Senju of the forest. I hope you can withstand my full power. As soon as he finished speaking, Senju Hashirama in sage mode clasped his hands together. The roaring magic chakra boiled again. It stirred up the wooden dragon and shook the world, shaking the white beard and pushing it back. If that's all, the dialogue the beard was nothing, but what made his expression slightly change was that the wooden dragon actually, to wrap around his body, began shrinking from the outside inward. At the same time, it absorbed his physical strength, making his body gradually become weak. What a difficult kid. All of them have devil fruit abilities that I have never heard of before. Is this a Mumu fruit? Whitebird became serious, and the terrifying momentum started again, forcing the air out. A short-lived true zone was formed around the body. Not only that, all materials in the close range, and even space itself, began to tremble violently. Did you detect the true strength of the pillars with the haki of wisdom and information, and actually started the awakening so decisively? Li Jing looked at the scene in front of him with interest, and found it quite interesting. In the world of pirates, in addition to the ability of the devil fruit itself, some people can also develop the fruit's ability to the extreme, thereby transcending the limits of the fruit and possessing new terrifying power. It is quite similar to the sage mode in the Naruto world. This realm is named Devil Fruit Awakening as the owner of the superhuman shock fruit. The external manifestation of Whitebird's awakening is to cause the surrounding environment to vibrate at an alarming frequency. This greatly increases the destructive power of the shock fruit. Boom. Boom. Under Senju Hashirama's vigilant gaze, atmospheric ripples visible to the naked eye swept away from Whitebird, becoming the carrier of the power of the shock fruit. Even that guy Kado can't defeat me, so a mere wooden dragon wants to defeat me? At this moment, Senju Hashirama seemed to have returned to half a year ago. He felt the extremely familiar punch that defeated the complete Kyuubi. Whitebird briefly put aside the Naginator, and his whole body was covered with indestructible armor. Domineering, he clenched his right hand into a fist and gathered some strength before hitting Mulong hard on the head. Bang! The whistling airwaves spread rapidly, and the biting wind swept across all directions, like thousands of wind blades tearing everything apart crazily. The power of the shock fruit that stood at the top of the pirates was amplified to the extreme with this punch. Completely it all poured onto the head of the wood dragon technique. The strong vines that made up the dragon's head were blasted apart. Sure enough, wanting to defeat the opponent with the technique of wood dragon is just a dream. Senju Hashirama's expression was very calm. From the beginning to now, he has never underestimated the enemy. He just wanted to explore the opponent's strength. That's all. Aha. Whitebird's figure disappeared from the spot, rushing forward at an extremely alarming speed, quickly approaching Senju Hashirama. But Senju Hashirama seemed to have noticed it and took a step back. He performed a one-handed interpret with him left hand. With his right hand he drew out the lightning strike wooden sword, trying to block the opponent's heavy fist as much as possible. From the previous battle, he could see that Whitebird's physical strength was far stronger than his own, reaching an inhuman level. Senju Pillar, I sometimes even suspected that even the Sage of Six Paths in his heyday was not as good as the tall pirate in front of him in the field of physical skills. Therefore, avoiding head-on combat is the most correct choice. Aha. Using the technique of instantaneous movement, Senju Hashirama once again narrowly avoided the attack. At the same time, the ninjutsu he had been forming had reached the end, and the aura of chakra rose to the extreme. Edward Newgate, among the strong people I have ever seen, you are the strongest person I have ever seen in the field of physical arts. I, Senju Hashirama, would like to call you the strongest in taijutsu. After the words fell, the long-awaited magical chakra followed the guidance of the handprints and gathered into the most massive technique. wouldn't escape through thousands of hands. Please read the novel without underline. Chapter 114. A Buddha statue. A miracle. Under Whitebeard's extremely surprised gaze, the entire training space was submerged by the violent sea of trees. They are mixed with the remains of the previous wooden dragon, climbing, entwining, and converging into a 1,000-armed Buddha statue that stands tall on the sky and the earth. It's hard to imagine. How did Senju Hashirama, who was only a normal human body, store such a huge amount of chakra, be able to create such a huge Senju Buddha statue? Boom. There was a sound of explosion. As soon as the 1,000-armed Buddha statue took shape, it directly exploded the ground under its feet. Pieces of sandstone shattered, squeezed into powder by the weight, and dissipated in the air. Threat. A strong sense of threat filled the air. In the heart of Whitebeard, this is such a majestic power. I'm afraid that only the legendary king of the sea can compare with it. Today's young people are really impatient. I haven't even finished warming up yet. In this case, I can only. The tall pirate holding the Naginata took a deep breath and felt the blood in his body burning, making this body, that had not encountered an opponent for a long time, extremely excited. I saw that the originally calm space suddenly became violent, like waves and tsunami, layer upon layer, infinite climbing. The huge Naginata also trembled and buzzed in Whitebeard's hand. At first there was a rustling sound, but after a while, it was like thunder, and it was out of control. Senju Hashirama's eyes saw it, and the entire space began to twist strangely, as if it was being pulled by an extremely powerful force. It's really unimaginable and weird power. Senju Hashirama in sage mode raised his hand slightly, and wrapped himself in a thick vibration coat of chakra. The tide caused by the earthquake fruit was too exaggerated, and he couldn't help but be careless. He was nervous. Stimulation. Excitement. Under the mixture of various emotions, the light in Senju Hashirama's eyes became more and more obvious, and vaguely, there were several Taoist jade appearing around him. It's finally here, the climax of Naruto vs. Pirates. Li Jing raised the corner of his mouth slightly, observing the entire battlefield from a god's perspective point. Although such a battle of the same level will put some burden on the soul of the big pillar, the high-intensity stimulation can cause the deep evolution of the eyes. If the eyes can be urged to Kyudeo was born. This transaction has made a lot of money. It was said that it was too late, but soon. Two top powerhouses in their respective power systems' immortal technique would release, transforming into a Buddha on the top. Senju Hashirama shouted angrily, all his chakra burned and boiled, and he controlled the supreme Buddha statue under his feet to move. Swish, 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 swish. Hundreds of giant wooden arms tore apart, split the sky, as fast as thunder, blowing up everything along the waypoint, invincible. Destroying. The Buddha statue, which symbolizes kindness and generosity, turned into a world destroyer in an instant. Point with the sound of rumbling through the sky. Whitebeard's domineering look captured an extremely spectacular scene was reached. Point from high in the sky. Countless Buddha's hands, which were tens of meters long, fell from the sky, rubbing against the air, and burning with flames. It was like countless suns crashing down, launching a world-destroying event. The catastrophe. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. What an interesting kid. Whitebeard laughed. Whether it was his intuition from years of fighting, or his own domineering attitude, he was reminded that he could not forcefully accept the attack of thousands of hands. If he did, he might die. But Whitebeard didn't care. Death. It's just a destined return journey. It's a pity. In this kind of life and death battle, it would be better if there was a bottle of wine. Whitebeard held the Naginata in his hand, and the Overlord's domineering energy in his whole body was raised to the highest level. There were no fancy move names, and there were no particularly precise techniques. He just raised the Naginata high, and then slashed down, slashing out. A knife that tore the sky. Rumble, rumble. The light of the sword was vertical and horizontal, and the shadows of the fists were staggered. The power of the shaking fruit had an earth-shattering collision with the immortal technique. Mutant. Point. It was something that could only be imagined, and it was absolutely unimaginable. The terrifying scene that emerged. Point. Ninjas below the level of Chokage, if they are even slightly affected by it, will die instantly. They are not of the same magnitude at all. Click. Like broken glass, the entire training space shook violently and began to fall apart inch by inch. But Li Jing knew that it was not, that the training space was too fragile and was blown up by Whitebird and Senju Hashirama. It was that one of the two dead, or both. So the training space collapsed on its own. Will both sides be hurt? It was as expected. Before the training space completely collapsed, Li Jing grabbed the soul of the seriously injured Dazu. He returned to the body of the real world point, whether it was the shock fruit or the real thousand hands. When it exploded with all its strength, the power generated was too terrifying. Neither of them could completely defend the opponent's attack. Therefore, they both ended up seriously injured. If Senju Hashirama enters the Six Paths mode, the building may be destroyed. If the wooden eyes are developed to the extreme and have the ability to attract and seek jade, the results may be different, but it is a pity that he has not mastered these two skills now. The spirit is slightly damaged, but it's not a big problem. With the strength of the big pillar, he can recover quickly. After observing the situation of Senju Hashirama for a while, Li Jing took out his novel again and started reading it leisurely. Waiting for this silly host to wake up. Fenilu reminds you 3 things about reading chapter 115. Senju Hashirama woke up a little faster than Li Jing expected. But even so, when he woke up, it was already dusk the next day. Was in a coma for a little more than a day. The battle is over? Senju Hashirama, who had just woken up, wondered. His memory was still at the time of the battle. He had no idea that he had been unconscious for more than a day. Ding. Both the host and the simulated master were harmed. The training space had closed on its own, and the host's soul was injured and comatose for 2 hours a day. So long? Senju Hashirama was slightly surprised. For him, except for the slight swelling and pain in his head when he was in a coma, it was just like sleeping. He couldn't notice the passage of time at all. Hashirama glanced at his point balance and deducted it. After 30,000, there is not much left. It seems that the training space cannot be used frequently in the future, but it is a pity, the thousand-armed boy said with emotion. There are too many points for simulating a strong person. If you are accidentally injured, your soul will be damaged, and you will become comatose. No matter how you look at it, it is not true. The function of getting along well. I don't know how the construction of the trading market is going. Senju Hashirama sat up from his bed, glanced at the sky outside the window, and prepared to inspect the previously selected area. Ninjas are extremely capable. Including the Hokage organization. There are more than 40 ninjas participating in the organization. With such a huge number of manpower, if you want to build a small trading market, it can be settled in one day. As your mind is flowing, the chakra in your body quickly senses the flying thunder god Kune 10,000 meters away. Aha! The next moment, Senju Hashirama's figure disappeared from the clan and appeared near the lake 10,000 meters away. Sensing his sudden aura, a figure appeared immediately. After seeing that it was Hashirama, he breathed a sigh of relief. Brother, why are you here? Senju Hashirama asked curiously with a relaxed expression on his face. This trading market is the first operation of the Hokage organization, and I still feel uneasy, said Senju Hashirama. Don't worry, brother, I'm here and I can handle the problem. Senju Hashirama's look is very confident, and he does have the qualification. In terms of intelligence, he has been no less than the adult ninjas in his family since he was a child. In terms of strength, now that he has become a Jinchuriki, he is no less than normal Jounin. Well, I feel a lot more at ease if you manage it. Senju Hashirama nodded. Then he walked towards the trading market. Under Senju Hashirama's explanation, he easily understood the functions of the entire market structure. To put it simply, the overall shape of the market is a huge circle. According to the theory of Bagwabaman, a total of 8 entrances and exits are established. Each entrance and exit represents an extended road. The intersection of the 8 roads is the center of the market, occupied by the Senju clan and the Hyuga clan. The rest of the area is a normal market area, divided among the remaining small and medium-sized ninja clans. On this point, Senju Hashirama is quite fair. Using the lottery, the method determines the location of the ninja's booth. Of course, if 2 ninjas want to exchange with each other, he will not stop it. TSK, Nidame has such a smart mind, it would be a pity not to move bricks. Li Jing clicked his tongue in amazement, surprised that Senju Hashirama could manage things in such an orderly manner at such a young age. Senju Hashirama also nodded frequently, quite satisfied with his own brother's management. As expected of the second generation Hokages known as the smartest in Chronicle of the Ninja World. After a while, the trading market will be officially opened to all races, and a steady stream of points will be earned. Senju Hashirama pondered in his heart. He created the trading market, not just to simply exchange things for things, but all the ninjas who trade in the market, even the Hyuga clan, have to pay tribute to the Senju clan every month. Pay a certain transaction tax. This tax may seem extremely small, but when accumulated, it will turn into a huge amount of wealth that makes everyone excited. All is ready except for the opportunity. A flash of light flashed in the eyes of Senju Hashirama, and he subconsciously looked towards the northern direction of the Fire Country, where the Uchiha clan is located. Just wait for the food harvest in a few months. The Senju clan will start the final battle with the Uchiha clan. By then, he will be able to truly unify all the ninjas in the Land of Fire. This will be a huge step towards the goal of world peace. By the way, what is Boruto? Senju Hashirama suddenly asked. He was really curious in his heart. As a reward for his mission to unify the Fire Country, what kind of divine object is Boruto? Boruto. Li Jing's mind kept popping up. After a few question marks, he suddenly realized that when he met Madara at Dazu, he seemed to have issued a mission. The reward was the complete plot of Boruto Ding. Boruto is a follow-up story based on Chronicle of the Ninja World. The host can regard it as one of the future directions of the ninja world in parallel time and space. Li Jing thought for a while and said. Regarding the garbage plot of Boruto, he was really embarrassed to say that this was the future of the ninja world, a world where film level movies can be rubbed casually by children. Sure enough, is it another book recording the future? Senju Hashirama had already expected this answer, and there was a little expectation in his eyes. At this time, he had no idea how furious he would be when he actually saw Boruto. Watch an underlined version of the novel please. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116. At the same time, in the distant Uchiha clan. The Sage of Six Paths looked at Uchiha Madara, who finally agreed, showing an expression of relief. He originally thought that, as long as he showed his identity as the Sage of Six Paths, Uchiha Madara would immediately beg him to teach him his power. Unexpectedly, this son's reincarnation was particularly alert, and he didn't believe it. Fortunately, for some reason, I finally believed and agreed to his conditions today. Indra's talent is not bad. At this age, he already has the second Magatama Sharingan, and he is only one step away from the third Magatama. With my help, you can transform into the 3 Magatama Sharingan within a week, and before a new round of war comes, you may be able to achieve the eternal kaleidoscope. The Sage of Six Paths narrowed his eyes slightly, thinking about how to cultivate Uchiha Madara's combat power. It just so what happened that Uchiha Tajima now has a pair of kaleidoscopes. As long as he cultivates Uchiha Madara's own eyes into kaleidoscopes and combine them into one, he can get a pair of kaleidoscopes. The powerful eternal kaleidoscope. If even this can't defeat Ashura and the mysterious being behind him, I can only under the dark light. Otsutsuki Hagoromo's eyes look darker and darker when there is no food. A large-scale war can be launched. Each ninja clan kept a low profile in a tacit understanding, and only carried out small-scale fighting in the dark, without raising the situation to the level of a clan versus clan battle. This is a silent unspoken rule. Protect the heritage and population of their respective ninja clans until the end of the quarter, and then start the most brutal fighting again. Ninjas can die in battle, but they cannot starve to death due to food shortages. Whether it is a large ninja clan or a small ninja clan, they all firmly adhere to this point and jointly maintain the illusory but real dignity of ninjas. In this way, the Fire Nation fell into a brief but eerie state of silence. It lasted 4 full months in the back mountain of the Senju clan. Senju Hashirama finished his training for the day. He was filled with heat and his body was much taller than before. It took 4 months to finally complete the ancient sutra. Senju Hashirama casually used a small water escape ninjutsu to wash away all the sweat stains on his body. He never expected that the training of the wild ancient scripture would be so difficult. It far exceeded the great wild cultivation method. Ding. Congratulations to the host for meeting the basic conditions for fusion of chakras, and you can start the fusion practice of the 7 attributes of chakra. Li Jing promptly reminded him the system recommends purchasing relevant exercises from the mall, which can help the host increase the chance of chakra fusion. It has been detected that a large-scale war is about to start, and the war store has been reopened. Li Jing reminded him, while smoothly unlocking the permissions of the war store. Calculating the time. It's time for the decisive battle with Uchiha. It's a great opportunity to earn a wave of points. War shop. 4 months have passed. Is it time for a new war? Senju Hashirama murmured to himself, lamenting how quickly time passed. Regarding the Uchiha clan led by Uchiha Madara, he had no fluctuations in his heart, and he also knew that Uchiha Madara was unlikely to defeat him. Unless it was only the 6 paths Madara recorded in Chronicles of the Ninja World are possible. What Senju Hashirama is really worried about is the 6 paths sage hidden behind the entire Uchiha clan. Hagoromo Otsutsuki. I hope my newly acquired power can pose a threat to the legendary immortals. Senju Hashirama touched his own eyes. At some point, the black and white eyes quietly turned into spiral magatama. At the same time, there were several suspended black spheres behind him. After 4 months of visualization and construction, Mewtwo, Senju Hashirama's spiritual power has ushered in a new surge, successfully stabilizing all the abilities of Giant Muan. And can send and receive freely. Just when Senju Hashirama was about to stand up, a shadow-style ninja walked out of the shadows of the dense forest. Master, there is an urgent report from the front line. The shadow ninja respectfully handed over a piece of paper. Even without looking, Li Jing knew that it was sent by Senju Tobirama. After all, only the two brothers Tobirama and Itama could command the original Shadow Ninja. The battle report that can be sent at this time is most likely related to the Uchiha clan. But the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan have been fighting for many years and know each other well. Why is it said to be an urgent report? Senju Hashirama obviously has something to do with Li Jing with the same confusion. I reached out to take the paper and quickly browsed the contents on it. Uchiha Madara has awakened a new kaleidoscope, which is more powerful than the previous clan leader Uchiha Tajima. Uchiha Raizuna also turned on the kaleidoscope. Are there any ninja families from other countries who have joined the Uchiha coalition? After Senju Hashirama read the content on the note, he couldn't help but think deeply. Uchiha Madara's opening of the kaleidoscope, and even the eternal kaleidoscope, was all within his expectation. Although Uchiha Raizuna's kaleidoscope was unexpected, it was not unexpected. I can't understand it. But when ninjas from other countries join, this is really confusing. System, do you know the situation of these ninjas in other countries? Senju Hashirama asked in his heart. He subconsciously felt that given the mystery of the system, he would probably know the reason. In fact, this was indeed the case. Ding. According to the system's judgment, it is speculated that the ninjas from other countries who joined the Uchiha coalition are almost all descendants of the Sage of Six Paths. Perhaps the Sage of Six Paths used some special means to guide them all here. Li Jing looked at the familiar corner on the note. With the word tribe, we can guess the general truth of the matter. It's just that Otsutsuki Hagoromo felt that the Uchiha clan's current power in the Land of Fire could not compete with the Hokage organization, so he simply raised his own descendants. Thankfully, the Uzumaki clan is not on this list. Filu reminds you 3 things about reading chapter 117. Li Jing didn't know whether this was because the Six Paths Sage didn't go to the Uzumaki clan at all, or because the Uzumaki clan was concerned about their friendship with the Senju clan. But since the Uzumaki clan hasn't moved out, Senju Hashirama has nothing to worry about. Inform Tobirama to summon the ninjas in his clan, and notify all the ninja clans in the Naruto Covenant to prepare for war. Senju Hashirama waved his hand and ordered, "As you command, Master." The shadow-style ninja seemed to be an icy machine that could only obey. His body disappeared directly into the shadows and rushed towards the location of Senju Tobirama. It was still early for the real war to begin, and the Uchiha clan's attack was only detected movement, but still cannot be underestimated. Senju Hashirama knows that with Uchiha Madara's unruly and aloof character, even if he has agreed to act, the opponent will still go out to launch an offensive. This proves that Uchiha's blood is not weak in the Thousand Hands clan system. Exchange for 7 more blacksmiths, 15 enchantment casters, and 20 wartime quartermasters. Senju Hashirama spoke again. Today's Senju clan is no better than before in fighting alone. It needs to lead more than 40 ninja clans at the same time and command a huge coalition of thousands if there are not enough reserve weapons, plus enough the managers of Ding. The system servant redeemed successfully, and the points have been automatically deducted. Li Jing waved his hand, and 105 white lights flashed out in the back mountain at the same time. Slowly walked out of the system servants just redeemed. It's time to meet Madara again. Senju Hashirama took a deep breath, and led the system servants to leave from the back of the clan. This time, he will truly end the war in the country of fire. Let this country, that has been at war for hundreds of years, return to peace. Era. Neither the 3 major inheritance places nor the 2 brothers of 6 paths immortal can stop his progress. Senju Hashirama's orders were quickly conveyed to the front line. With the identity of the clan leader's brother and the increased strength brought by the one-tailed Jinkriki, Senju Hashirama could easily gather the ninja army of the Senju clan. And successively notified all major ninja clans. The movements of more than 40 ninja clan were completely hidden, allowing both the Domingfu and Uchiha to know the movements of the Senju clan. Damning Mansion, as before, maintained an absolutely neutral stance. Don't interfere in the ninjas' battle. In the land of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Madara sat high in the position of clan leader, looking down at the many Uchiha clan elders below, and the reinforcement from other 6 paths ninja clans. Old man of 6 paths, what is the use of bringing these wastes? In the face of the power of the eternal kaleidoscope, everything is vain. Uchiha Madara suddenly opened his eyes, and the pupil power of the eternal kaleidoscope swept out. Except for the Uchiha clan members who were safe, the other ninja clan members felt great pressure, as if there were mountains crushing their backs. The sage of 6 paths frowned slightly, waved his hand to disperse the pupil power of the eternal kaleidoscope. Indra, you still haven't changed. You don't understand the power of union at all. Joint? Are you saying that, if these ants unite, they can defeat my Susanoo? Uchiha Madara gave a disdainful sneer. It is true that, because of Senju Hashirama, he did not become the cold and ruthless ninja Shura like the original. But being kind-hearted does not mean changing his character. Uchiha Madara just doesn't have the original. He is so bloodthirsty, and his disdain for the weak in his heart has not diminished at all, and he still feels that having power is king. From the beginning to the end, there is only one person that Uchiha Madara truly identifies with. Senju Hashirama. Looking at Uchiha Madara's appearance, the 6 paths sage frowned slightly and gave up further preaching. As long as Uchiha Madara can listen to him, fight against Senju Hashirama, and then lead out the mastermind behind the scenes, then he has nothing to say. Snort. Even Emir fake dares to point fingers at me, and even says that I'm the reincarnation of ancestor Indra, and is not afraid of laughing to death. Uchiha Madara glanced at the soul of the 6 paths immortal, and said with disdain, under the guidance of Li Jing and Dazu, he did not believe in the 6 paths immortal in front of him from the beginning. He only wanted to take advantage of the opponent, and enhance his own strength. Sixu and Wench. Now that he has the eternal kaleidoscope, he no longer needs the other party. The entrance to the Thousand Hands clan. Senju Hashirama led the assembled ninja army, which had been waiting for a long time, and was followed by a large number of logistics troops. Senju Hashirama arrived here quickly, and joined the ninja army. Without too much delay, this army of 1,000 people began a mighty expedition, heading in the direction of the Uchiha clan. Of course, it is impossible for the 2 armies to let each other enter their respective clan areas when they are fighting. When 2 armies meet, they will naturally form a war front and stalemate in the middle. I don't know what means Otsutsuki Hagoromo will use. Madara's eternal kaleidoscope alone is not enough. Li Jing clung to Senju Hashirama and muttered to himself. The full strength of the 6 paths sage was too terrifying. In his, when he defeated his biological mother, many ingenious and fantastic ninjutsu had not yet been born in the world, which means that Otsutsuki Hagoromo sealed Otsutsuki Kaguya with pure hard power. Thousands of years have passed. Li Jing didn't believe that this immortal would not make any progress. If he didn't take action personally, there would be basically no opponent for the Tao-seeking Jade that Dazu had newly mastered. If he is really shameless and ends up being shameless, it is just a matter of exchanging a level 3 powerful strike. Scroll. Li Jing thought to himself, arranging everything clearly. Please read the underlined version of the novel. Chapter 118. If it were at the first and second levels, then Li Jing would still be afraid of the existence of the Six Paths Immortal Point. After reaching the third level, he was actually not that afraid anymore. As long as you have enough points, not to mention the Sage of Six Paths, even Otsutsuki can arrange everything for you. Having said that, this time the opponents include Madara with the Eternal Kaleidoscope and the Immortal Six Paths Sage. Only using Boruto as a reward seems a bit lacking. Li Jing pondered. After all, the plot of Boruto was already decades later. It didn't help Senju Hashirama much. Thinking about it this way, using Boruto as a reward for unifying the Fire Nation is indeed its missing. Li Jing thought for a moment, and decided to temporarily add a new task, to give Dazu some small benefits. Ding, the main mission of the third ring is released. Mission name, The Road to the Strong Mission Introduction. Ask the host to defeat as many strong men as possible in the next war. The higher the number and strength of the strong men defeated, the richer the rewards will be. Point mission reward, mysterious gift package, floating according to the completion of the mission. The sudden mission prompt sound made Senju Hashirama stunned for a moment while he was marching. Mysterious gift package? When he saw that the mission reward was a mysterious gift package, he felt a little surprised. The last mysterious gift package contained the chronicles of the ninja world that recorded the following decades, which greatly increased his knowledge. It is precisely for this reason that Senju Hashirama attaches great importance to the mysterious gift package of the main mission system. The gift package reward this time is still the same as last time. Is it a special history book recording the future? Senju Hashirama asked silently in his heart. Ding. All the rewards in the gift pack are distributed randomly. They may be future history books, skills, bloodlines, or items sold in the system mall. Dazu nodded slightly to express his understanding point. Although he didn't explicitly say what he would be rewarded, he also knew that the system would definitely not give out two bad items. Even if your luck is extremely bad, the items you get are worth at least tens of thousands of points. The march fell into silence again. Point the places he passed along the way were all ninja clans affiliated with the Hokage organization. Point no ambush was encountered. Point some are just reinforcement that keep coming in. Point when the Thousand Hands Alliance army actually arrived at the front line of the battlefield, the army of only 1,000 people had expanded to more than 6,000 people. And in Senju Hashirama's body, there is still dormant a Shukaku that crushes Chanyewei. Seeing the arrival of such a large number of reinforcement, the Hyuga clan stationed online also breathed a sigh of relief. Hashirama, you arrived just in time and have already discovered traces of the Uchiha army. If you stay for an hour, I'm afraid this front line won't be able to be defended. Hyuga Tenin walked out of the position and said with a solemn expression. Point this old man, whose strength is among the best in the cage level, is rare to go to the battlefield in person because there are too many descendants of the Six Paths summoned by the Six Paths sage from other countries. These people either have huge amounts of chakra, or have multi-attribute chakra talents, or have weird blood inheritance limits. They are not ordinary at all. Ninjas can compete with it. Senju Hashirama slowly walked to the forefront of the battle line, and his perception ability was amplified to the limit. He easily detected countless chakra auras surging towards here. Turtle, there are 3 auras of a shadow level powerhouse. The old man of Six Paths is quite powerful. Li Jing also detected the enemy's situation and was amazed. There are still very few shadow level experts under the Hokage Covenant, not that many. The Senju Hashirama entailed beast state counts as 1, and the Hyuga Tenin also counts as 1. If there are no health problems, Thousand-Armed Buddha Room can be considered the third one, but Dazu will not allow his biological father to go to the battlefield. So from the beginning to the end, there were only 2 shadow level experts in the Senju camp. Do you want to gain an advantage by relying on more shadow level powerhouses? Senju Hashirama frowned. He was not very worried, because Senju Hashirama was protected by a Shukaku, and Hyuga Tenin was a veteran strongman. The chance of something happening to both of them was pitifully small. Perception. As the distance between the Uchiha forces coalition gradually approached, Senju Hashirama raised his arms and started marching. Army attack. There was a sound of breaking through the air, and the crowd was shouting. The ninja coalition headed by the Senju clan quickly entered the position. This ferocious beast, which integrated more than 40 ninja clans, finally took the first step, linking into a chain that could not be seen at a glance, reach the end of the defense line, and announce their existence to the entire Naruto world. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. When the ninjas observed the target black shadow appearing in the distance, they immediately released the ninjutsu they had prepared. Fire release Fire Dragon Flame Bullet, Earth release Earth Dragon Bullet, Compound Ninjutsu Earth Dragon Flame Style. 7,000 people. The ninja use the two most basic ninjutsu to launch a joint attack of extremely large scale point with the accumulation of distance, power, and range. Each value exceeded the threshold of the super shadow level point in less than 3 seconds within the time it arrived. They quickly locked on the 20 or 30 ninjas of the Uchiha coalition to ensure that there was no possibility of escape. Bang, 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 bang. It sounded like it sounded at the same time within a second, and like it was the one after another of firecrackers, and countless earth dragons wrapped in flames sprang out, like arrows from the string, tearing the sky and the earth into hundreds of lasting flames. For a time, the dragons danced wildly, illuminating the sky. All the falling sunlight is blocked. The watermarks are intertwined and dotted, forming a beautiful and murderous painting. Feilu reminds you 3 things about reading chapter 119. The ninjas of the Uchiha coalition seemed to have expected this. He stopped in place at an extremely fast speed and formed layers of seals to display tall earth walls, trying to completely block the flow of earth dragon flames. Boom, 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 boom. The group of dragons made of rock fire shrouded the sky above the entire Uchiha coalition. When it hit countless high walls of earth, the unimaginable high temperature spreads rapidly from the inside out, evaporating everything and burning everything. An unimaginable shockwave was formed, and the defensive ninjutsu was shaken by the wanton impact. In an instant, the Uchiha coalition forces suffered numerous casualties. Snort. A bunch of rubbish. Suddenly, a cold snort came from the depths of the Uchiha coalition point. Accompanied by it was a terrifying pupil power that was exaggerated to the limit, forcibly containing the attack of the dragons and the sky point immediately afterwards. That huge force, the power of his pupils, outlines the void, and it gradually gathers into a giant hand that covers the sky point. It is a dark blue bone hand that is more than 10 meters long, and is made of chakra. It holds an extremely sharp giant chakra long knife. The blade flashes. The cold light makes it difficult for people to look directly. Boom. Amidst the huge roar, the bone hand grasped a 40-meter long chakra knife tightly, and with the roar of the wind, he made an extremely fast slash. The movement that occurred at that moment made people feel that it was not the sound of the sword. It's like thousands of thunders falling together. Abruptly, a dazzling white light appeared between the sky and the earth. It was only the size of a fingertip at first, but it immediately expanded to hundreds or thousands of meters in length. It flashed with an edge that cut off everything and destroyed all the earth dragon flames approaching the Uchiha coalition forces. Split into 2. Then a second white light appeared, striking at the thick dragons in the air. It tore them into pieces, revealing the scorching sun again. It sounds complicated, but in fact it only takes more than a second. Most of the powerful combined ninjutsu was wiped out. The unabated sword energy cut the earth, leaving 2 deep ravines on the surface, creating a brand new wonder. Uchiha must win. Uchiha must win. The clan leader must win. After a brief period of astonishment, the Uchiha alliance burst into earth-shattering cheers, deeply impressed by the power displayed by Uchiha Madara. Has Madara become so powerful? Senju Hashirama was quite surprised. The eternal kaleidoscope is so powerful, so wouldn't the power of the Rinnegan be even more exaggerated? Fortunately, his giant Muai is comparable to the Rinnegan, and even the amount of chakra is far superior to that of Uchiha Madara. The outcome of who wins and who loses remains the same. Ding, it is detected that the morale of the army has dropped. Please host to improve morale as soon as possible. Li Jing on the side suddenly said. If Senju Hashirama could see his expression, he would know that Li Jing is quite unhappy now. How Can it be repaired? Master Band's pretense is actually on his own head. Arrangement must be arranged. Senju Hashirama glanced at the many Senju ninjas behind him and found that indeed, as Li Jing said, many people were shocked by Uchiha Madara's invincible power becoming distraught. Senju Hashirama immediately stopped. Hesitating, and dark red eye shadow appeared on his face. A mortal would release the art of giving birth to the tree world. Call. The chakra containing strong vitality sank into the ground, causing all the plants sleeping deep in the ground to riot together and grow crazily at a speed exceeding 100 times. It was quite a shocking scene. Countless giant trees emerged from the depths of the earth, piercing through layers of rock and soil, occupying the surface of the earth in a gigantic and vast manner. The branches split through the mountains and penetrated the rocks until they completely enveloped the entire ground. What is this power? Someone managed to avoid an ancient tree and looked at the thousand arms pillars in the distance with extremely horrified eyes. It was so spectacular. It was so spectacular. Tens of thousands of tall ancient trees just drilled out of the land in front of them. It burst out, cracking the surface of the earth, and continued to grow and climb at an alarming speed. There were strong winds blowing. At that moment, all the ninjas felt a kind of natural fear that was difficult to suppress, and a short-term weakness emerged in their hearts. Natural disasters. Facing Senju Hashirama's tree world birth technique, they seemed to be facing natural disasters they had no ability to resist or change. Are the two of them really still human beings? The horned ninja from the Land of Thunder asked with a stammering tone. If he hadn't participated in the battle today, he would have had no idea that there were two ninjas younger than him whose strength had reached another worldly level. This kind of surprise is like working hard to get a pistol, only to find out that someone else has already sailed on an aircraft carrier. Is this the strength of the ninja clan in the Land of Fire? Quietly, the ninja of the Horned clan suddenly realized why the Land of Fire was rated as the most dangerous place. With two bug level ninjas, Uchiha and Senju, there is no room for normal ninjas to survive. At the forefront of the Thousand Hands Alliance. Thousand Hands Hashirama looked calm and slowly withdrew his seal hand, standing in the vast forest he created. As long as he fights in this forest, his power will be inexhaustible. It is inexhaustible, let alone Uchiha Madara of the Eternal Kaleidoscope. Even the Rinnegan is not afraid at all. Gilu. Behind Senju Hashirama, Shukaku huddled in Senju Tobirama's body, trembling with fear and not daring to move. Sure enough, its decision to give in was quite wise. Please read the underlined version of the novel chapter 120. After releasing a wave of long-range ninjas, except for the ninjas who specialized in long-range attacks, all the Taijutsu ninjas rushed towards the opposite side of the battlefield. The most intense close combat between ninjas started with the enemy. Among them, the ninjas of the Senju clan are particularly outstanding. Not only did they practice the Great Wilderness body training technique, but they also learned the sixth form of the Navy, and their physical strength far surpassed that of ninjas of the same level. Coupled with the unique strange power of the Senju clan, they instantly crushed their old rivals, the Uchiha clan, the bastard Senju clan. On the battlefield, Uchiha Izuna saw this scene and couldn't help but activate the Mangekyou Sharingan, trying to forcefully crush the ordinary ninjas of the Senju clan. However, he was blocked by a figure as fast as thunder. Uchiha Izuna, your opponent is me. Using the Flying Thunder God technique to rush to the battlefield, Senju Tobirama stopped Uchiha Izuna at the critical moment. His body was boiling with the rich-tailed beast chakra, which increased his power to almost beyond the limit strength and speed. Senju Hashirama's younger brother? That's fine. I'll use your head to get some good news for my father who is seriously injured in bed. Uchiha Izuna's eyes were cold, and he directly attacked Senju Tobirama. King against king, general against general, soldier against soldier. The ordinary ninjas from the Uchiha Alliance and the Senju Alliance fought together, and several cage level ninjas. They also started fighting spontaneously. Only the two strongest ones, Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, were left, and they walked away from the battlefield in unison. The two of them are currently too strong. If they are not careful, they will cause the clan to people die. Sure enough, Tobirama still fought with Madara's brother. While walking, Senju Hashirama took the time to watch the situation on the battlefield. With the Shadow Flow Ninja team secretly watching over him, he didn't worry about anyone accidentally dying. System, have you detected any traces of the immortal of six paths? Senju Hashirama asked. He was only worried about the existence of the six paths sage as a factor of change. Ding, the soul of the six paths immortal does not exist on the battlefield point. In order to prevent unexpected situations, it is recommended that the host turns on the immortal mode in Jianmu eyes to deal with all emergencies with all his strength. Li Jing replied immediately. Point through the small map. He found that, although the six paths immortal was not on the battlefield, he was not too far away. I secretly felt a little more vigilant in my heart. Be ready to exchange for a powerful third level blow at any time, to avoid sneak attacks on the big pillars at critical moments. Good. Senju Hashirama did not continue to say anything. He had already trusted Li Jing's words. The surging magic chakra appeared, hitting the sky like a tsunami. It caused all the natural energy in the surrounding environment to riot. But in the blink of an eye, Senju Hashirama's appearance and aura have underwent a qualitative change. The deep red fairy eyeshadow appears on the face, setting off the scorching Magatama rise of reincarnation, and the pupils are glowing with a faint silver light, giving people a sense of wonder, an inexplicable sense of oppression. Even standing still, it gives people a sense of superiority over mortals. But what shocked Uchiha Madara and Otsutsuki Hagoromo, who were observing in the dark the most, was that the few stars floating above the immortal, the jet black sphere behind Hashirama, exudes an aura of destruction that ordinary people cannot detect. Hashirama, have you become stronger again? These eyes I have never seen before. Uchiha Madara's pupils shrank slightly. He originally thought that with the eternal mangidoscope, he could overwhelm Senju Hashirama with his huge pupil power. How did I know that the other party also opened his eyes, and it was a pupil technique that he had never heard of before? Snort. Uchiha Madara snorted coldly, and the extremely domineering eternal kaleidoscope power poured out, and began to construct the complete Susanoo in the void. It was the ultimate form that exceeded the size of a mountain, and the Karastengu armor fully covered the whiskers. At the same time, he was also endowed with a pair of chakra wings that could cover the sky and the sun, allowing him to soar in the sky. Hashirama, let's see the power I have. After being away for so many days, although our goals are the same, I will not show mercy because of this. At most, I will let you survive. Madara Uchiha had a cold face, and his body directly occupied Susanoo Point in an instant. This tall Susanoo, who was as tall as the mountains, seemed to have a soul, and his eyes glowed with a strange scarlet kaleidoscope pattern, and he began to move. Get up. With a move of both hands, two long chakra knives, that are tens of meters long, will automatically condense. Call. The sound of the storm. Susanoo flapped his wings and dived towards Senju Hashirama at an extremely fast speed, the chakra sword in his hand ready to go. Is this the complete Susanoo? Although I have read relevant records in Chronicles of the Ninja World, it is not as shocking as seeing it with my own eyes. If there is no Jianmu Eye and only the immortal mode, it will indeed be a bit more troublesome to deal with. Looking at the oncoming Susanoo, Senju Hashirama was not affected by the exaggerated coercion at all, and his expression was very calm. He clasped his hands together without making any unnecessary movements. The Senjutsu chakra in his body boiled and twisted. Focusing on the surrounding space, would release Wood Dragon technique, the mighty Cheyenne Lang true skill. There was a sudden silence between heaven and earth, and only the sound of the earth collapsing and breaking could be heard. I saw the tree world, where Senju Hashirama stood at the foot of the birth forest. Suddenly, a wooden blue dragon flew out and stopped Susanoo with the power of a soaring dragon. It seems that the result of this battle is still the same as 1,000 years ago. Indra could not defeat Ashura after all. On the top of the mountain range not far from the battlefield, Otsutsuki Hagoromo observed everything on the battlefield and couldn't help murmuring. He was not in a good mood. The appearance of Jianmuan and Kyudayu made him deeply feel that things had gone beyond development. If Senju Hashirama continues to be allowed to grow, he may regret it very much in the future. 9 llamas, it seems I have to borrow your chakra this time. Filu reminds you 3 things about reading chapter 121. Roar. The wooden dragon roared, and its slender dragon body wrapped directly around Susanoo, directly suppressing the chakra giant with its majestic power. Susanoo suddenly fell from midair, created a huge crater on the earth's surface. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Uchiha Madara's face changed slightly. He was not afraid of the impact of the wood dragon technique. For Susanoo, as long as the entire body was not destroyed at once, the damage could be repaired easily. But the terrifying power of the wood dragon technique, it is constantly absorbing the enemy's chakra, fundamentally cutting off the enemy's source of power. Bang! There was an explosion, and smoke and dust scattered. Senju Hashirama stood in the distance, calmly watching the battle between Susanoo and the wood dragon jutsu. Fighting point, he knew that, although the wood dragon technique had the amplification of the mighty Saiyan true skill and its power had become much stronger, but wanting to defeat Madara Uchiha of the Eternal Kaleidoscope with just a wood dragon was mostly wishful thinking. Why don't you show up yet? The Sage of Six Paths. Senju Hashirama scratched his head. If possible, he didn't want to fight Madara. As for fighting the Sage of Six Paths whom he had never met before, there was no burden at all. Ding, it is recommended that the host crush Uchiha Madara with absolute strength and force the Six Paths Sage hiding in the dark to take action, Li Jing suggested in a timely manner. Otsutsuki Hagoromo is obviously still waiting to see if Uchiha Madara can defeat Senju Hashirama. Point. If Uchiha Madara's strength is obviously insufficient, perhaps the opponent will take action himself to win the war. Well, what you said makes sense to the system. Senju Hashirama showed a slightly honest expression. The system would not lie to him. Since the system said so, it seems that he must show some real strength. Madara, I'm sorry. Senju Hashirama raised his hand slightly, and Chenggen Senjutsu chakra spurted out, and the blazing key soared into the sky. If you have a Sharingan or Byakugan watching at this time, you will find that Senju Hashirama seems to be in the sky. The gods walking on the earth exude the brilliance of a footbath that rivals the sun immortal would release. The art of immortal wooden man. The sea of trees fell into boiling. Yes, the entire sea of trees buzzed at the same time, just like boiling water that cannot be calmed down. Countless ancient trees in the sky seemed to have life, and they actually rushed towards the foot of Senju Hashirama, gathering spontaneously. Tangled together, it formed a huge wooden figure that reached the sky and the earth, and was as high as the mountain. Even without holding any weapons, the burly body and the noble warring state's armor attached were enough to frighten Bahang Liu. He was taken away in an instant. All the attention of the complete Susanoo. TSK. Dazhu's talent is quite good. He actually successfully developed a majestic wooden figure in a few months. Li Jing and Senju Hashirama stood on top of the wooden figure together, admiring them. Come on, the idea of developing this ninjutsu has to start with the battle against Whitebeard in the training space. Senju Hashirama deeply reflected on himself, and felt that, although his true senjutsu was powerful enough, he was seriously lacking in defense. Therefore, after learning from Uchiha Tajima's powerful Susanoo Uchibi, he developed his own unique powerful Bokujin technique. As for the power, it can barely be doubled. Li Jing thought with a smile. Hashirama, you. On the other side, Madara Uchiha, who had just finished dealing with the wooden dragon, turned around and looked at the Senju Hashirama standing above the head of the powerful wooden man with a look of surprise. The impact of the powerful wooden man on him, the feeling and pressure are too strong. Is mutant really so powerful that he can crush Susanoo of the Uchiha clan? Madara Uchiha had a cold face, and the kaleidoscope power he released became more and more turbulent, knocking Susanoo away. All the injuries on Nenghu's body were repaired. Like a god of war standing between heaven and earth, he slowly pulled out his two swords and charged towards the 1,000-armed pillars. Aha! The air explosion sounded, and Senju Hashirama also made a move. The tall and imposing wooden man stretched out his right hand and waved in the direction of the broken body of the wooden dragon. The wooden dragon suddenly collapsed on the spot and turned into countless debris, flying in point, all wrapped up in both fists indistinctly. A dragon roared in the void, resounding throughout the 9 heavens and 10 places the mighty Saiyan true power. Madara, surrender. You may die if I punch you, Senju Hashirama said in an extremely sincere tone before attacking. His eyes were full of sincerity, and it was clear that he really thought so. However, Uchiha Madara's offensive continued unabated, and even sped up a few points. Senju Hashirama shook his head, and used his giant Mu eyes to directly lock on Susanoo's attack trajectory, and controlled the majestic wooden man to face him. His strength was overwhelming. Bang! The heavy wooden fist and two handles the chakra knives collided fiercely, and a scream like the clash of steel came out. But then the power of the dragon's fist completely overwhelmed Susanu's power, and blasted it away from the front. The two chakra knives and knife shattered into countless pieces on the spot. It broke through the air barrier, while flying upside down, and the fragments rubbed against the air at high speed to create sparks, which showed how powerful the blow just now was. Well, with such force, Madara probably won't die. Senju Hashirama slowly retracted the powerful wooden man's fist. As the direct recipient of the blow just now, Susanoo was directly blasted away. It hit hard on a hill, and was embedded in it. It looked quite miserable. Please read the ununderlined version of the novel. Chapter 122. Dazu's punch was a bit fierce. Li Jing touched his chin, and watched Susanoo being smashed into the hill, unable to move for a long time. In terms of the quality and quantity of chakra, Senju Hashirama still belongs to the category of super shadow level point, but the skills he mastered, techniques, secret techniques, etc., all far exceed the normal super shadow level power, and a very few even reach the destructive threshold of the six paths level point. Even if Uchiha Madara possesses the Samsara Eye, it is of no avail, because from the beginning and the end, Senju Hashirama only used the insight ability of the Giant Muai point. He did not use the real killer weapon, the Tao Jade point on the battlefield. Many ninjas paid attention to the battle between the two strongest men. When they saw Senju Hashirama, when Hashirama defeated Susanoo so easily and freely, he couldn't help but feel shocked. According to the normal plot, shouldn't it was a battle for 3 days and 3 nights, until the sky is dark and the mountains are cracked? Today's young people are really getting more and more terrifying. They are getting older. Hyuga Tenin used his soft fists to block the enemy's offensive, while letting out a long sigh. Not far away, Uchiha Izuna saw this. He escaped to save others, but was blocked by Kainju Tojian. I won't let you go and interfere with Big Brother. Senju Tobirama's expression was indifferent, and he threw out countless flying thunder god Kune with both hands, turning into a blue flash and quickly approaching Uchiha Izuna point, looking for an opportunity to kill with one blow. On the other side, Senju Hashirama stands on top of the majestic wooden figure, looking down at Susanoo. Madara, that's enough, surrender. While Senju Hashirama was persuading him to surrender, he secretly increased his vigilance, and beware of the six paths sage who might appear at any time point. If the other party really intends to take action, then now is undoubtedly the most suitable time. Surrender? Uchiha Madara gradually got rid of the influence of that punch, and controlled the damaged Susanoo to stand up staggeringly. In the process, Susanoo repaired himself at an efficient speed. Hashirama, although you have grown a lot, you seem not to be familiar with the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha clan is not a waste of standing and surrendering. Uchiha Madara's voice was so loud that even the main Uchiha clan members could hear it, which made them extremely moved. This is part of the two people's plan, to build Uchiha Madara into an image of an excellent clan leader who loves Uchiha. In doing so, this can greatly reduce Uchiha's prejudice against Madara. This will prevent some members of the Uchiha clan from becoming resentful towards him as the clan leader after joining the Hokage organization. However, Senju Hashirama also knows that this is actually Uchiha Madara's truth idea. Want the Uchiha clan to join the Senju clan? Yes. The premise is to completely defeat him, the Uchiha clan leader, and step over his unconscious body. Otherwise Uchiha Madara's character will never admit defeat. Looking at it like this, does Madara have any killer moves that he hasn't used yet? Li Jing narrowed his eyes and thought thoughtfully. Uchiha Madara only has so much power. The Rinnegan has not yet appeared, and the 10 tails Jinchuriki is not possible, so there is only 9 tails. As if to verify Li Jing's conjecture, Uchiha Madara suddenly formed a psychic seal and slapped the black psychic technique on the ground. Psychic technique, the 9 tails is summoned. Give me your power, Kyuubi. Amidst Uchiha Madara's loud shouts, the extremely huge psychic technique covered a large area of land, and even expanded to the feet of some ninjas on the main battlefield. At the same time, on the small map that Li Jing had always opened, represented Otsutsuki Hagoromo's red dot is also approaching rapidly. Ding. Special alert. It is detected that the Immortal of Six Paths is approaching rapidly. Please prepare the host for defense. Is it finally out? Senju Hashirama's pupils shrank, and he drove the majestic wooden man back quickly. He quickly exited the psychic range of the Ninetales. It's strange. Where is the old man Liudeo? Why is his presence shown on the map, but not his figure? A cold light flashed in Li Jing's eyes, and he was extremely wary of the existence of Otsutsuki Hagoromo. He subconsciously glanced in the direction of Kyuubi, and found that, just as he had guessed, Kyuubi's pupils had been occupied by the pattern of the pupil technique. However, what emerged in the nine-tailed pupils was not Uchiha Madara's kaleidoscope point, it was a pair of Samsara eyes that should not have appeared now. Could it be that the soul of the old man of six paths is attached to the Ninetales, and he wants to use the chakra of the Ninetales as a basis to temporarily obtain an entity in the real world? Li Jing was startled. The more he thought about it, the more he thought it was possible. With the huge amount of yin and yang chakra of the Ninetales, plus the yin and yang power of the six paths sage itself, it is not a delusion to create a body with 6 levels of combat power on the battlefield. Uchiha Madara, who personally summoned the Ninetales, also noticed something was wrong. Although the Ninetales was channeled by him, he did not act according to his will at all, and did not become one with Susanoo, transformed into the powerful Susan and Kyuubi. Damn it, is it because the pupils are not powerful enough? Uchiha Madara frowned, and the huge eternal kaleidoscope power swept out, but it only caused a ripple on the surface of the Ninetales. The tall-tailed beast finally made some movement. I saw the huge body like a mountain. Turning slightly, he looked at Susanoo and Uchiha Madara indifferently with a pair of purple spiral eye patterned Samsara eyes. Indra, you will not be needed for the rest of the battle. Feilu reminds you 3 things about reading. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123. An innate bloodline pressure was constantly oppressing Madara Uchiha's mind point. Although he had never known the existence of the Samsara eye, just looking at those purple spiral eyes, he had a strange understanding in his heart. This is an eye more powerful than the eternal Mangeki Sharingan, and is most likely the next evolution of the Mangeki. Suddenly, Uchiha Madara groaned, and his eyes widened. The huge Susanoo actually began to dissipate on the spot, and its power was controlled by an unknown force, flying to the location of the Kyuubi. Damn it, was it that fake six paths sage who did it? Uchiha Madara endured the discomfort, and retreated away from the battlefield. Fortunately, the opponent's target was not him, so he didn't do anything more. Absorb pupil power and supplement yourself. In a place where even the eternal Mangeki Sharingan could not be seen, Senju Hashirama could see clearly with the Jianmu eye, and saw the illusory soul standing above the head of the Ninetales, the clothes with a familiar style, and the clothes originating from the soul, a deep sense of resonance. They all come together to reveal the identity of the person in front of me. Hagoromo Otsutsuki, the first ninja sect in the world of Naruto. The sage of 6 paths whose name has been passed down through the ages. Such a powerful force. Senju Hashirama looked solemn, quite wary of the 6 paths immortal who had just appeared. He didn't need a system to specifically detect it. He could use Jianmu eyes to observe the coming of the great power, which coordinated the balance of the world. The power of yin and yang returns to the soul along with the chakra left by the 6 paths immortal in the world. This is a tough battle. Li Jing's expression was also very serious. In the original work, Uzumaki Naruto only got the yang power of the 6 paths sage, and he was so strong that he could kick away the Jade. Uchiha Sasuke got the yin power, and he directly opened the 6 Megatomori Reincarnation eye. One can imagine how terrifying the 6 paths immortal, the origin of these 2 forces, would be. This ancestor of the ninja world has reached a state where he can sense the flow of all life and see through the inner nature of the world. But, along with the imperceptible space wave, the scroll fell into Li Jing's hand. If something unexpected happens, this scroll will be a life-saving straw. But whether it needs to be used or not, you have to fight it to know. Fortunately, the other party's body is really gone, and only one soul left, is the original 6 paths level. Li Jing muttered to himself, his eyes falling on the 6 paths immortal above Ninetales. The earth was turbulent, and the sky was swaying point body size number. As soon as the 100-meter long Kyuubi appeared, the entire battlefield panicked. Both the Senju Alliance and the Uchiha Alliance were thrown farther away. They urgently distanced themselves from this huge-tailed beast. The Sage of Six Paths, he just glanced at it, and didn't pay much attention to it. Instead, he set his sights on the imposing wooden man. He has grown to his peak at this age, and has opened up the realm of blood inheritance that has never been seen before. Ashura, who is the existence behind you? This time I want to see how you can stop me, 9 llamas. Now that you know the old man, I will lend you my power. Kyuubi's tone was quite reluctant, but he still obediently gave out his chakra. As a former Ten-Tails Jinchuriki, Otsutsuki Hagoromo chastised the tailed beast. The control of Carrot has long been perfected. With just one thought, all the huge chakra of 9 tails was absorbed into the depths of the soul, creating a temporary body. It is quite similar to the shadow clone technique. Shukaku, the Sage of Six Paths, cast his gaze at a certain place in the main battlefield. His deep Samsara eyes directly locked the position of Senju Hashirama and peeked at the one-tailed Shukaku inside. This raccoon cat was extremely timid. With a face, I was tempted somewhat by the call of the Six Paths Sage, but when I thought of the existence of Senju Hashirama, I became honest again. I won't get involved in the matter between the old man and Ashura's family. No matter who wins, I can't get it right in the end. It should be Shukaku, muttered secretly, and made up his mind to stay in Senju Hashirama's body, ignoring what was going on outside the window. The Six Paths Sage frowned, but he didn't care too much. Point compared to the power of 9 tails, it should be the amount of chakra they can provide is pitiful, so it doesn't matter whether he can help or not. It's been a long time since I've done it, and I don't know if it will become very unfamiliar after 1,000 years. The Immortal of Six Paths murmured and took a step forward. A robe of 6 paths fluttered in the wind, and a Tao-seeking jade was generated and stretched from the void, condensing into the shape of an Immortal's tin staff, which was held tightly by the Immortal of 6 paths. Then there was another one. 10 jet black Tao-seeking jades were generated and suspended in midair. They flew behind the 6 paths Immortal and circled, forming a strange circle. Please read the underlined version of the novel. Chapter 124. With the high concentration of chakra, even ordinary ninjas without advanced eye skills can see the figure standing on the head of the 9 tails. It was very blurry, as if in another world, completely isolated from the living. But it exists, extremely real. This is the eye that controls life and death, the special power of the Samsara eye system. Do you think I can defeat the Immortal of 6 paths? Senju Hashirama opened his giant Mu eyes, forming a protective shield around him, blocking all the pupil power of the Samsara eye from the outside. Ding, there is a huge gap between the strength of the host and the 6 paths level, but the 6 paths Immortal is not in its prime at this time, and the host may be able to fight. If an unexpected situation occurs, the system will initiate emergency measures as soon as possible. Li Jing's true form, invisible among the 1,000 hand pillars, is holding the level 3 strong man's blow. He just redeemed in his hand, with a very relaxed and carefree expression. Whitebird can be summoned with a 2nd level scroll, and it is not difficult to summon some fantasy and immortal characters with a 3rd level scroll. Although Otsutsuki Hagoromo is strong, it is only limited to the world of Naruto. There are still many people in the world who can crush him. Okay, then I'm relieved. Senju Hashirama in sage mode took a deep breath, and the surrounding natural energy fluctuated accordingly. A terrifying chakra that even Otsutsuki Hagoromo looked at with surprise rushed into the sky like a soaring dragon, penetrating the sky and the earth. Let the whole world dim. This chakra has almost caught up with Ashura from thousands of years ago, and it is also a magical chakra mixed with natural energy. Otsutsuki Hagoromo frowned slightly, but still stood firmly on the head of Kyuubi, waiting for Senju Hashirama's offensive. With the power of 6 paths, he is extremely confident in his own strength. No worries about the possibility of tipping over. In the eyes of the 6 paths Immortal, if you don't enter the 6 paths, you will eventually become an ant. No matter how fancy Senju Hashirama's would releases, there will only be defeat in the end. Come on, Ashura, let me see how far your strength has grown after thousands of years. The mysterious samurai stared at Senju Hashirama and saw the wave of Senjutsu chakra that was constantly accumulating and finally rushed out like a mountain torrent. The amount of this Senjutsu chakra was too exaggerated. It struck thousands of miles across. In the sky, a storm swept across the sky, and the natural energy of the entire battlefield was driven. In the microscopic world that normal ninjas could not observe, a raging riot began, tearing all weak materials into powder and following the Senju Hashirama technique. The preparations caused intense commotion. At first, the sky was filled with black clouds. But now, the sun hanging high in the sky has been completely blocked, and the sky and the earth are pitch black, and you can't see your fingers. Only the natural energy is running wild and the strong wind is howling, hunting noise. Senju Hashirama suddenly remembered a novel he had read in the system mall, Immortal and I. Immortal and I. I'm going to rebel against the 6 paths immortal today. With a loud shout, the natural energy in the surrounding area was completely disordered. Senjutsu chakra, which was even larger than the tailed beast, continuously poured out and was buried deep in the earth. Immortal Dharma would release thousands of hands. The mighty heavenly dragon and Prajna Buddhas manifest their Dharma. The hands formed seals at an extremely fast speed, dancing out a series of after images in an instant. The 2 most powerful techniques were simultaneously performed. Under the full power of Senju Hashirama, the infinitely noble immortal Buddha rising from the ground, with a majestic wooden figure above his head, he lifted Senju Hashirama's body into the very high sky. It covered the sky, and blocked out the sun and moon, and covered the stars, and obscured the heaven and earth. His size alone surpassed Kyuubi several times. There were so many of them, appearing on the earth in an unparalleled huge posture. But what made Otsutsuki Hagoromo start to feel something bad was the densely packed Buddha arms behind the 1,000-armed Buddha statue. They seemed to contain extremely special power, and exuded a faint threat. It seems eyes. It definitely has the destructive power of the 6 paths level. Otherwise, it would be impossible to have such a sense of threat. Could it be that Ashura has entered the 6 paths level in this life? Otsutsuki Hagoromo could no longer remain calm. Immediately, pounding the power of the reincarnation eyes swept out, forming Susanu's Karastengu armor, which was attached to the Ninetails. The powerful Lama Susanoo Ninetails was formed, and on this basis, the power of 6 yin and yang was superimposed, and it was comprehensive amplified various abilities of the mighty Susan TSK. Old man Liudeo, just enjoy the impact of the next nuclear explosion. Li Jing looked at it with slightly narrowed eyes, and turned to look at the Senju Hashirama who was panting, and almost exhausted the Senjutsu chakra. If it was an ordinary true 1,000 hands, even if all the 1,000 hands were beaten out, it is also impossible to squeeze out the Senju Hashirama who has developed the immortal body to the extreme and practiced the ancient sutra without even a drop of chakra left. The reason why this is so is because the big pillar gives each 1,000 arms Buddha statue, each arm is blessed with the power of the mighty dragons. This means that any blow of the 1,000-armed Buddha statue has the power of the punch of the previously powerful wooden man who destroyed Susanoo. An attack like this, Senju Hashirama has 1,000 paths. Almost as soon as Otsutsuki Hagoromo's powerful Susanoo was formed, Senju Hashirama decisively launched an offensive, a Buddha on the top, or 1,000 hands and 1,000 dragons. The roar was like thunder, waking up everyone on the battlefield. Almost subconsciously, everyone looked up to the sky call. A whole 1,000 Buddha's giant arms tore through the sky, breaking through the air barrier with sheer force. Roaring and roaring, they appeared in front of everyone in an extremely spectacular formation. Only 1,000 Buddha's hands were seen high in the sky. No, it was 1,000 powerful heavenly dragons that fell from the sky, rubbing against the air, and burning with flames all over their bodies where the mighty Susan Ninetails was. They roared and fell, launching a world-destroying catastrophe. The dragon roars in the sky, and the world is endless. Feilu reminds you 3 things about reading chapter 125. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Otsutsuki Hagoromo's mind was shocked, and he was surprised and doubtful about the true meaning of the powerful Shyinlan wrapped in the 1,000-armed Buddha statue. It is a secret attack technique that is completely opposite to the chakra system. It has never appeared in this world. Ashura, how much power did you get from that unknown existence? If you continue to let you grow, I'm afraid the entire ninja world will be destroyed. The Sage of Six Paths looked solemn, raised his hand slightly, and a large number of seeking jade appeared in the void. At the same time, the Ninetales, who was wearing Susanoo armor at his feet, also charged up and spit out the tailed beast cannon and Yasuka's Megatama. These mutually exclusive attack methods were squeezed together by the power of the Six Paths, forming a devastating attack as black as ink that split the sky. Sorry, Ashura, this is all for the peace of the ninja world, the Six Paths Sage said in a low tone. Originally, he did not intend to use his real power, but the attack of the thousand-armed Buddha statue was too terrifying. If you do not use the Six Paths level, the power, even he himself can't protect himself. Boom. The real dragon's pressure made all living beings in the world breathless. The clouds covering thousands of miles were dispersed, revealing the endless blue sky. The thousand Buddha's hands that hit the surface from the sky transformed into thousands of powerful heavenly dragons hover in the sky, almost ready to knock down the stars. Shukaku, who was curled up in Senju Hashirama's body, suddenly raised his head, looked at the dragons in the sky with horrified eyes, and his body trembled involuntarily. The feeling of fear originating from the gods in the soul made him swallow his saliva involuntarily. How could a mere wooden escape exude pressure that was countless times more powerful than a tailed beast? Not even the ten tails should be like this. On top of the thousand-armed Buddha statue, thousand-armed Hashirama endured the feeling of weakness caused by the loss of chakra, while constantly absorbing natural energy from the outside world to replenish the magic chakra. Under his control, all the Buddha's arms carrying the true meaning of the mighty heavenly dragon struck at the location of the Six Paths Sage and the Ninetales. It was quite a vast scene. A celestial dragon swooped down from the sky, and a large number of Yasuka's questing jade came towards it, trying to intercept it from mid-air almost instantly. A strong sense of crisis fell from the sky, crazily stimulating the cerebral cortex of all ninjas. Back off. Back off. Back off again. Even though his chakra was exhausted, he still retreated, like crazy even if he was scratched by the gravel. Just a moment. On top of it, the transformed Buddha collided head-on with the Yasuka Jade, releasing the infinite kinetic energy and yin-yang escape chakra contained inside, igniting the entire sky of the land of fire. It was a detonation in the true sense, and the loud noise and shock wave it produced instantly was like a nuclear cleansing the ground, which almost caused all the ninjas on the battlefield to fall into a temporary tinnitus state. And it directly broke the waist bones of some ninjas who had no time to dodge and flew out like extremely tattered rag dolls. The immortal of Six Paths glanced at the tragic situation on the battlefield, and his face became more and more gloomy. Ashura, you are still stubborn about it. Look at these people who died because of you. Don't you feel a little guilty? Sensing the anger of the master, the Kyuubi also looked up to the sky and roared, releasing the more powerful tailed beast cannon, trying to completely kill the Senju Hashirama above the real Senju Hashirama. Senju Hashirama's face only hesitated for a moment, and then returned to calm. From the moment the Sage of Six Paths appeared, he had controlled the sea of trees in the tree world to curl up, turning into wooden walls to protect the ninjas. With the protection of immortal technique Muton, the mere aftermath cannot kill these powerful ninjas. As for some unlucky people, who were so unlucky that they were directly killed by the Buddha's hand or the Jade of Seeking Dao, Dazu couldn't take care of them. To reach this point, he has done his best. It is useless to say more. Peace will inevitably lead to bloodshed, and I have already prepared for this. Senju Hashirama controlled the Senju Buddha arm and hit the powerful Susan Kyuubi with more violence. In fact, I know that as the reincarnation of Ashura, I can sit down and talk with the Six Paths Sage. But with the existence of the system, everything becomes different. It is really hard to believe that the Six Paths Sage is dedicated to maintaining the peace of the ninja world. Any existence that is not native to the ninja world. In addition, Senju Hashirama's thoughts have changed, and he decided to use force to unify the world instead of simply being silly, sweet and naive, which makes this immortal even more wary. From the beginning, Otsutsuki Hagoromo, he had no intention of beating Senju Hashirama to death, but more to draw out the mastermind, that is, the existence of the system, and then obtain further information. If possible, he even wanted to have an exchange with the mastermind. Only it's a pity that Hashirama, who he thought he could easily crush, actually exploded with combat power comparable to the level of the Six Paths, making the immortal miserable. bang, 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 bang. In the sky, there was one after another. The explosion has become an eternal theme. With every passing second, Otsutsuki Hagoromo's face becomes more and more ugly. Kyuubi's chakra is indeed very strong, but compared to the current Senju Hashirama, Kyuubi's chakra is mediocre. If I had known this, I should have gathered the other tailed beasts. After all, I underestimated Ashura too much. Otsutsuki Hagoromo couldn't help but think about it, but at this time there was no chance to regret it. Please read the underlined version of the novel end of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.